With it being after 7 o'clock, I call the June 22nd the meeting. We will start off with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Everybody, I got this here.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Come on, leg. All right, we'll start off with the minutes. Let me look. Approval of minutes for May 25th. Jack, did you get to read them?
Yes, I've read them, and I offer a motion to approve the minutes for May 25th, 2022.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. COC for 242-1832-37 Scott Circle.
Commissioner, recall this order was issued in January of 2022 for the upgrade of an existing septic system. System is completed. We have an as-built plan and certification in hand. The site is stable. Erosion controls have been removed, and I recommend issuing a full and complete certificate.
Thank you. Joe, any questions?
No questions.
Al?
No questions.
Jack? Ryan?
No questions.
Motion.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. NOIs, 242-1787, 135 North Ramp Road, continue to July 13th, due to lack of quorum.
So
We
moved.
skipped one.
We're just announcing the continuances, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay, sorry.
okay.
I
Next
moved
one.
it.
Move to continue for 242-1787.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. Next one is 242-1837, 1260 Salem Street, requesting continue to July 13th.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. Next one is 242-1843, 1761 Salem Street.
All right. So we
We
need,
missed.
We had a small project.
Oh, did I miss one? I went right by it.
Yeah.
Moving right along. Small project, 296 Olcott Way.
alrighty. This project involves installation of 2 pergolas within an existing patio area. One pergola will be an imperfect triangle, and these will both be out of the 50, and the other will be a perfect triangle, but they're, again, all it requires is removal of some patio stones, digging down below that for the supports for the footings of the pergolas, and then that's it. And it's all within an area that has a retaining wall that separates it from the wetland, and the retaining wall itself is outside the 50, so these pergolas are outside as well.
Joe, any questions?
Really just one administrative question. This property, this particular address has had several
Yes.
permitting activities. Everything else is
Every-
closed out?
Yes.
I'm all set.
Certificates of compliance across the board.
No, Joe asked the question, I all set.
Joe, Jack,
Yeah, I have no questions.
Ryan?
No questions.
Okay. Motion?
I
To-
move that
let's
we
see.
consider this to be a small project pursuant to letter L.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous.
So I move further that we approve the project as proposed pursuant to the vote for the letter L.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. Amy, do we have a DP number for 462 Winter Street yet?
We do not,
We do not. Okay,
no, so that has to be
so we'll-
automatically
So
continued.
we'll open it and then we'll continue it.
We've already opened it,
Oh, we
we
already did?
discussed it last
Then why don't we
time,
just
and
have-
we
Continue it
still
then.
don't have a deed file number, so.
Motion to continue.
Move them continued.
Which one?
Yet unnumbered
Birch has got no
DEP
DP.
number, but it's 463 Winter Street.
It's already been opened.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that's unanimous. Next one is 242, 1845.
Did we skip another one? Did we skip
Did I?
1843?
We 1843 is next. We haven't
Yep.
done that yet.
Oh, yeah, yep.
Oh, I went
We
by
haven't done
it.
1843.
242, 1843,
Yeah, that's in the right place.
1761.
He was on it.
Huh?
Yeah, you had it.
There's just so many things on the agenda.
I know.
It's tough to get started.
All right, so we got Salem Street.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the commission will recall the discussion last time about the proposed rocks along the side of the driveway. You guys wanted some more detail on those. Engineer went back to the applicant, and they decided just to remove them from the plan. So that was the only outstanding question from the last discussion. So we have an updated plan with the stones removed.
Joe, any questions?
No further questions.
Al?
No questions, Mr.
Jack?
We're all set with the condenser unit. It's going to be on
Yeah.
a gravel with
Yep.
non-permanent pad. I'm good.
All right,
No questions.
motion.
So close the hearing and issue. I have a decision ready for you this evening.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that's unanimous. All right. 242, 1845, 240 Abbott Street.
Give me a second, get to it. All right, so the commission will recall receiving this notice of intent without all the signatures of the abutting properties that have rights or own those pipes, so we didn't accept it, and the applicant went back, got all the signatures, and re-noticed, and we did a new legal ad. So this work includes the construction of a sanitary sewer connection to replace the current failed septic system on site. It's about 100 linear feet of a pressure line to be installed to the existing pipes that 230 Abbott had previously installed. 1,000-gallon monolithic pump tank will be installed between the 50 and the 100-foot buffer zone, and the work will be occurring between the 25 and the 50 due to the location of the actual force mains on the shoulder. So we do have a DEP file number.
Joe?
I know we held it off in the initial hearing because we weren't sure of the ownership issue in the signatures, so thank you for getting those. But we never did discuss anything about the project at that time. Is there, this is the construction drawing? Because it, I mean, it lacks any cross-sectional detail for any work, and you know, I see that they're proposing the pump tank out in front of the house, which is certainly within the buffer zone, but outside the 50. And all the work going out parallel to the driveway, I guess, and then clipping the corner of the driveway out to the street.
Right. No, we
I
didn't
mean, I don't
get
have any
across.
grades, I can't tell whether they're gonna be in water or not, or dewatering or not, there's nothing here. And so I guess I have tons of questions, but it's only due to lack of information on the plans. So that's all I have.
Oh, aren't they small? I know this plan is kind of small. Isn't the manhole right at the end of the driveway? Or they gotta run their own separate pipe out to the street?
No, they connect to a pipe that's in
Right.
the shared driveway.
Right at the Y, right? Where the common driveway meets.
No,
Casing.
the sewer and the manhole are already down the common driveway up to the edge of this particular driveway, correct?
Right.
And what they're proposing is from that manhole in, correct? Am I correct?
Sewer manholes on Thistle Road. And the force main goes to that sewer manhole,
Okay,
I believe.
It's shown on the far right of the plan. The manhole's on the far right of the plan.
Over Thistle,
here's
right over here.
so the activity between the 50 and 100, where the manhole is, I can't see it. Plan.
No, it's right here. The connector, this is already in. All this is already in.
This is tie-in.
The connector.
It's tying right
the connector to
there.
this. That's all they're doing.
That's all.
That's all.
Yeah, and it continues.
So,
But it only grades. I mean, I guess
That's
it's
where
already.
they're gonna
that's
tie
three
in.
houses on it?
That's
Is
what
that
they're tying.
Is that what I'm understanding?
It's gotta go
Three
this
houses
way.
on this?
But what's wrong with this house?
That's the
Existing
new tank. This is the
pressure sewer
house.
line.
Okay.
New tank,
Three.
line,
Yeah, three houses on it.
Goes all the way back to here. Others tie
It's in
into
the
it. This guy's
25.
just tying in.
Actually, no, actually, no. Outside the 25, between 25 and 50.
Okay.
So it's outside the 25, but it's between 25 and 50.
Someone.
My house is it.
Yes. Oh, hi, Carl.
Hi, how are you?
So my question is this, is typically,
No, I was in the back. I'm sorry.
so my question is this, typically when you're going to come to conservation for permit, you would have enough information on the plans in order to construct what it is you're proposing. So if you were to give this to a contractor to build, there's insufficient information on this plan. I don't have any elevations other than some spot grades around the perimeter of the driveway itself. I have some spot grades in the front yard. I've got simply a monolithic 1,000-gallon monolithic pump tank with nothing. No dimensions, no size, no depth, no inverts to whether in groundwater or not, whether they need to de-water or not. I mean, there's nothing.
I agree.
There's no detail on this. I don't know, you can't build this from this plan.
No. No, and you know it's wet, so they gotta have a dewatering plan.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at spot grades around the perimeter, and I think they're gonna be in the groundwater.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
So, again, since what we typically do here is issue a permit to build things from sets of plans that can be built, I say we don't have that from the, not from you, from your engineer.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's all I have to say.
Al?
Agreed.
So you need inverts, just to clarify for the homeowner, inverts on the pipes, dewatering plan.
Well, first of all, you gotta start up with the dimension of the tank and how deep it's going. That's the first thing. Then you could do your grade for the pipe, where the pipe's gonna go from one to the other.
So there's a notation on the plan that states the contractor shall perform a test pit at connection to confirm elevation of existing force main.
Where the force main, it doesn't matter. It's where the tank is going. I mean, it's gonna be wet. 1,000-gallon tank is gonna be what, 6 feet deep, Ryan? Would you guess? It's gonna be like 6 feet anyways.
Thereabouts.
Thereabouts. So 6 feet in this area, you're gonna be in water. So,
Is it a new 1,000-gallon tank or an existing one?
It's new.
It's good, yeah, it's medium.
it's no. Well, then I would.
You're on septic now, correct?
Yeah,
And you're in your front, it's probably in the front yard.
side yard,
Driveway side or
Front
the
side,
opposite
yeah.
side?
opposite side driveway.
Opposite side
Yeah.
of the driveway.
Yeah.
So we're all speculating, trying to imagine just what they're gonna be into in order to build this, and, I mean, the reality is, the test pit note doesn't do it. Have you had contractors look at this yet?
Just the engineer.
Just the engineer?
Yeah.
Well, we really could use, we need elevations, how deep the tank is going in, and a dewatering plan.
Yeah, I see that, doesn't,
Yeah.
that's just right here.
Right.
And the pipe is really irrelevant with the, that's all gonna go by the, it's a force main, so the pipe won't matter.
So there is a note about dewatering, but it's sort of open-ended.
Vague.
No dewatering is expected.
Yeah, but there's no plan. There's no dewatering on the master plan.
I'm going to the culvert. If you look at the culvert on either end, excuse me, on the downstream end, I think, 18659 is the invert of the culvert. There's a note right at there, on the opposite side where the force main is, the invert's at 187. That's literally that far from the bottom of the culvert. There is properly bedded and running back. If that's where the culvert is, they are absolutely in the water. Might not be in the water. We don't anticipate. I can tell you that right at this elevation compared to where they are, they're in water.
You talk about the force main itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And never mind chasing it back down to where the tank is. And we're having this debate because, honest to God, I think you've paid for all this information that we're trying to extract from them.
Right.
You shouldn't have to pay for this information. The reality is you don't want change orders. If you get this out to a contractor and they get into water and they have to come back to us, it's going to be delay, it's going to be permitting, it's going to be a modification. You want it to be right before you start. And I don't think you can't build it from this.
So we need a revised plan.
Yeah.
We need a revised plan.
Okay.
Just tell him what he needs and. Sure.
So there are surface contour elevations that they're really tough to see, but it looks like, so it's between 198, or are those 5-foot contours? I think, yeah, they're 1-foot contours, I believe. No, 2-foot contours. So it's between 198 and 200 is what it looks like. So
Right,
that would be 10 feet above that invert, right? Because it's 188, you were saying? 188.7?
To surface.
Yeah. So it would be roughly 11 feet above that invert elevation. So if it does go down 6 feet, that would be 5 feet to groundwater, assuming it's, it doesn't slope up the groundwater. I'm not saying we shouldn't have more information, but that is on here. Yeah, so, yep, so it's 188 right here, or 189. Okay, 184, that's even lower. And then up here, you have 198 and 200. So this is right in the middle, I would just say 199, which would be like 15 feet above the culvert.
Oh, in terms of the tank,
Right.
for the tank.
Yep. Because you were saying you were saying like a cross section for the tank, right? To figure out what the water is relative to the tank. So it does slope up from your driveway up to the house. It slopes.
Yep.
Up.
And that's actually what I was seeing was that it was, I thought that the force main would be sloping down, but no, from the terminus of the force main in the driveway that is uphill, so it's going to be a belly, and then it's pushing it up the driveway is really what they're looking to do.
Yeah.
Under the construction notes, they're not expecting any dewatering.
So that may be an accurate note.
I think it is inaccurate. Like you just said, Joe, you think the force main is in water already. So even if we.
Oh, it is down here.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but we're far from there.
Actually, it's a
I know.
disclaimer. It says, if dewatering is required, the pump discharge shall be approved by the designer and the NACC before activity begins.
But the elevation up where Ryan was saying was 199 to 200.
Yeah,
So-
roughly around 199.
So if they go 6 feet deep for the tank, that's 194. And I'm sure it's gonna be deeper. So you're gonna be pretty close.
So Al points out there is a disclaimer note number 4. If dewatering is required, they should come back to both the engineer and to us.
He's saying.
So what we typically do is show us a dewatering plan on the plans.
Yeah, oh,
That way you don't
definitely.
have to come back.
Yeah.
Right.
Save time and money for all parties.
Yeah, otherwise they got to stop during construction,
Yeah.
come to you guys, figure that out. Yeah, totally.
And And before we used to, sometimes they used to just make you have the dewatering and materials on site, but I think makes sense to have the dewatering in place, because by the time you dig the hole, put the stone in, fill the fabric, it's too late.
Right, yeah.
You know, you created a mess already, and I'm sure you don't want to mess. I mean, this is a slam dunk job. I mean, it's just,
Yeah, then you're paying the contractor for the day, and they gotta come back, you know,
Right.
after they get, you know, are able to de-water.
It's
I mean,
an
unless
it's
the
an expense that you don't need to incur, not to mention the mess. So,
Unless the condition of the order says prior to construction, dewatering detail will be provided and approved, and then all those BMPs will be on-site and set up at the time of pre-construction meeting.
but we don't do that. We make sure that the dewatering plan is in place
Okay.
prior to approval.
Okay.
So that's one less thing he has to worry about. And if are you guys comfortable with not having any elevations for the tank?
I think if it was closer, I'd be more concerned, but the reality is that I didn't realize it was going uphill into the yard. It's probably not as critical, you know, setting your controls and your pump settings and your floats and whatnot. That's all the sort of things you need to know before you get into the ground, but apparently they're gonna set them after they put the tank in.
So if that's not an issue, are you guys comfortable without just having a dewatering plan on the plan, or actually having a dewatering plan in place?
No, it's gotta be in place.
I think so too.
No, it's gotta be in place.
That's how we do it.
That's how we do it.
Don't
Okay,
don't let this,
I,
just give instructions to the applicant so we can move this on. We have a big, it's my,
Okay.
I'm doing my job. We have a big agenda.
I understand. If Deb was here, she'd be kicking me in the leg. All right, so,
So we,
so we're gonna,
we need a dewatering detail.
dewatering detail of where it's going on the plan.
And we need elevations.
According to the drawing, the new pump chamber tank is going in place of where your existing septic tank is. So what do you intend to do with the storage while they're doing the work for those few days? So it's installed and inspected and operable?
Nobody asked us yet.
Yeah, 'cause it-
I'm kind of coming in late. This is all part of like a Title V remediation, so
Yeah.
it should have been done by the time we moved in. So I'm kind of late to the game and asking those questions.
So theoretically, your septic tank's there now, it's holding your storage
Right.
coming out of your house.
Yep,
They're proposing to put the new one in its place, so that's gonna come out
yep.
while this is going in. Where does your storage go? You move out for a week?
You're out of the
Yeah,
house,
the-
you're out of the house for a week.
The idea was when this was going on, hopefully over the summer, that we were going to go to a family.
Take a vacation?
So
Yeah.
that might be the answer, but
Yeah.
I'm just pointing out there's a hard conflict that directly conflicts with your current system, and it will be inoperable all during construction.
Right, yeah, and that's like no water, no nothing.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so we need to continue, so directions we have to give, we need elevations, we need a dewatering plan, and the,
And it-
Temporary sewage disposal plan.
well, yeah, you really should think about that, because to get a contractor to commit on a certain date is like winning the lottery.
There's got plenty of room to get it out of the way.
Yeah.
The engineer should have, I'm sure he's thinking of something, it's just not clear to me what that is.
Yeah, I don't know, we won't go there.
So that third one's a temporary.
Temporary sewage, or consider putting
Or if you're gonna be out of town.
or
Okay.
consider putting the tank somewhere else
Okay.
as an option for you.
Do we need tank dimensions
Uh,
and depth of the excavation?
1,000 gallon.
the 1,000 gallon, I would say, it's just, you can supply that if you want, but I don't think it makes a difference.
Just go to Shay's catalog.
Yeah.
Get a 1,000
Oh,
gallon
okay,
tank.
Right.
okay.
Elevation of the tank, or just the elevation of the tie?
No, how deep the tank is going
The tank.
is gonna be important, because that's why it's gonna,
Okay, so depth of excavation for the tank.
all right, so you know what you have to do,
Yep.
and if there's any question, call Amy or Taylor, they'll guide you the right way.
All righty.
So we need a motion to continue.
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous.
And that'll be continued to the July 13th meeting.
What's that?
July 13th meeting.
Yep. Okay.
That's
Thanks, Carl.
Thank you.
Sorry we couldn't help you, but we're trying to help you. Believe it
We're
or
almost
not.
there.
I hate people getting themselves in a pickle. All right. Let's see where I am here. I lost my agenda.
should be on 161.
Yeah,
So for 161 Campbell, the wetland consultant has conflict, and he was hoping that we could maybe table it, and he tried to make it later in the evening.
what,
That's what Greg asked me to do.
They're just asking that we table it till the end of the meeting.
sure,
Do you need a motion, or can you just table?
we can just skip over it.
Chairman's,
There you go.
chairman's
Done.
privilege to table.
Privilege of the chair.
You know, and I don't even like that applicant.
He has another meeting in another community, and he's gonna try to get here.
Okay.
We'll monitor it. He said he'd text me when he's on his way.
Next one is 242-1845, is that correct? No, I'm sorry.
2421846,
Yep,
57 Hewitt.
I haven't got my agenda with.
Alrighty. All right, this project entails demolition of an existing one-car garage, side deck and stairs, and construction of a new larger attached garage. Construction of a three-season porch off the back of that proposed garage. Demolition of an existing rear patio and walkway, and construction of an in-ground pool. Surrounding paper patio, landscape wall, steps, and landing. Additional rain barrels will be added to capture roof runoff. Work is in the 100-foot buffer zone to a bordering vegetated wetland that is off-site. The pool patio will be 51.9 feet from the BBW at its closest point. Wetland line was reviewed in the field and was reasonable. There was some yard waste that was occurring off-site, some encroaching into the 25, mostly in the 50. And I talked to the applicant about that. Some landscaping will be done, and I provided the homeowner with a native plant list. Dennis Gricci, the project engineer, is here this evening to answer your questions.
Thank you. Joe, you want to start, or you still reading?
This is your house, you live there?
I'm the project engineer on behalf of the
That's
applicant.
Project engineer.
Mr. Ryan is
Have you
here.
done any test pits out there?
We have not.
So, the homeowner is here. Seasonal high, I mean, we know this neighborhood pretty well. Seasonal high water is just below the surface, so even in dry weather, I think you're gonna be right into the groundwater for great depth, so the pool excavation is something you might need to better understand. Not that you can't do it, just that becomes an issue to wrestle with during construction. With regards to what's actually being proposed, I have no issue with it, it's just, how it gets done.
Al?
No waiver requests?
No.
I'm good for now. Nothing right now, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Is there a plan on this just narrative and pictures?
Yeah, there's a big plan. You guys got big plan. Should be
Oh, you
right
got
there.
a big plan. Is there a dewatering plan on this?
No, there is not.
All right, so we need that. That's what I was looking for. Because you're definitely gonna have to de-water on this project.
Construction access, stockpile.
Right. Right, so we're gonna need a dewatering plan for sure. That's all I have right now.
Is there a retaining wall around that patio or above the pool, or below the pool, I should say?
There's currently about an 18-inch landscaping wall. It's shown on the existing conditions portion. There's going to be the same sort of landscaping wall. Again, it's about 18 inches of relief, so it's not really a retaining wall as much as it's a landscaping feature.
Are you extending that as part of this project?
The wall will be replaced almost in kind,
Okay.
so it's labeled there as a plus or minus 18-inch landscape
Yep.
wall. And I will note that the project was described as a pool. It's actually more aptly described as a plunge pool, so it's going to be a 9 by 15 foot plunge pool. So it's relatively small pool. It's smaller than a parking space. It's not an Olympic-sized pool. It is a relatively small footprint going into the ground.
Okay.
And maybe not go deep as well. I guess the depth is really more of our concern. I was gonna comment, it looks quite small, but
Yes.
sometimes they're not very deep.
What's the depth?
So it'll be 5 feet deep, I'm told.
Is the coping at grade, or is it above grade a little bit?
About 18 inches above grade.
And then 5 feet from there?
Well, no,
So-
that includes the facility, 3.5 feet below grade, 18 inches above.
Okay.
Oh.
So the dewatering may not be as onerous by picking that approach. All right.
But it's
Good.
still required.
You're still required to, I mean, you're gonna be in it, but and you got plenty of space in your yard to do that.
That's a no one, though. I've never heard that before, a plunge pool. I've heard a wading pool.
Plunge pools, when I go in, it overflows.
That's fine, I get it.
No more questions for me.
I'm all set, right?
I'm okay with the project, but I'd like to see an ongoing condition that any emptying of the pool itself doesn't, there's no discharge in the 100-foot buffer zone. Preferably trucked off-site if possible, but, we don't want it dewatered toward the wetland.
Well, we have a cartridge in our water conditioner, right?
We traditionally require a cartridge type.
Cartridge.
That eliminates the backwashing, but
Yeah.
still, the emptying of it is Brian's point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and to clarify, this is a cartridge system, so there is no backwash.
All right,
And would the commission consider a condition for the dewatering plan? Going down 18 inches, it doesn't seem significant, or the 18 inches above than the 3 feet down. I would be surprised if the groundwater table is higher than 3 feet at this moment.
So see your plan with Lorraine Avenue and that wetland right behind it
Yes.
with the name Kindred on it? They were literally here just the last meeting and the meeting before that. We know, not only that, we know this, I know this neighborhood pretty well. It's pretty shallow. You're gonna be digging in groundwater unless you're digging in extreme drought in August.
Okay.
And,
you're
it's,
gonna hit it at a foot and a half.
So would the commission consider a condition that we provide dewatering plan prior to construction?
Pre-construction condition.
do you have a decision prepared for tonight?
I have no objection to that.
That it be approved by NACC administrator prior to.
Pre-construction.
It's a pre-construction.
Pre-construction.
So we need a detail prior to construction, and we
Approved
need
by
all
you.
the BMPs set up by the time we're on site for the pre-construction site visit.
Well, we condition it accordingly, and then
Yep.
it either hits the bell or it doesn't. But I understand what he's asking. The time is of the essence. I get it.
Yep. I mean, they do have plenty of room to dewater outside of the buffer. They have a large lawn area that.
That's what I'm seeing here, and that's not what I saw on the other project. This
Right,
one-
right, they have room.
Okay,
Yeah, I agree with you. There is room.
Yep.
all right. So then, any other questions? We're all set, right? All right, so we need a motion.
So, if I understand what we just talked about, I would move that we close and issue a decision within 21 days. And we will, during our deliberation, we will draft a pre-construction condition
For dewater.
accordingly.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous.
Thank you.
Great, thanks.
All right. RDA, 901 Johnson Street.
Alrighty. I don't know if anyone's here. Yeah, you can come on up, yeah. Oh. You gotta ask. Okay. So this project involves demolition of an existing deck and stairs and replacement of a smaller dimension deck with stairs. And that brings the deck further from the wetland than what exists. 6 new 12-inch sonotubes dug to a depth of about 4 feet will be required. While on site, the field inspector noticed a structure that is partially within the 25 that did not receive a building permit or any approval by the commission. And so we needed to bring that to your attention. But otherwise, you know, the deck project is pretty straightforward. And the wetlands, we have an as-built plan from 2007, so our septic system upgrade. And based on our field inspector's review of the wetland, it seems like the wetland creeped up a little bit through the years since 2007, so. But, so what you have is an as-built plan with notations on it.
And the wetland lines shown on that as-built plan were surveyed in back in the day.
2007,
Right, so the physical wetland has creeped up closer to the house?
yes.
So if it, so the structure, I'm gonna call it a shed, whatever, the structure that's close is, on this plan, is even closer in reality, is that what I'm hearing?
Taylor, can you answer that?
So the wetland line off to the left
Mm-hmm.
has crept up. So that structure would really be within the 25 for the most part, unfortunately.
And that's physically in the field, so
Yeah.
this plan this is just a representation, it's not
Yes.
just,
Yeah.
okay,
No.
I got it.
The homeowner is here with us, so if you have
I
questions.
mean,
for
you
him.
guys, you do your forensic work, I mean, how long has the structure been there?
Let's
Can you tell?
see, it appears that it's been built between 2020 and now,
So pretty recent.
pretty recent.
Those notes,
So it was probably put in there when it was, this line was here.
If I may,
Yep.
there,
go ahead.
when we moved in 2015, there was a rotten platform that was in that location. In 2020 during quarantine, I ripped the boards off and refaced it, made it my own. So that's what's happened since then. How's my firewood and my grill out there?
You did a nice job on it. It looks nice.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, our deck now is unusable, so
can we see that old, do you have any evidence of that old platform? Can you see it anywhere in aerial photography?
The aerial, it's
I mean,
hard
that would
to
help
tell
a lot.
Tree
because the
canopy.
tree canopy is over it, so
got
we
it.
couldn't get down. We
Yeah,
wouldn't be
I-
able to pick that up, unfortunately. We didn't use Google Earth, just all the GIS.
Right, in this project, that's a lot,
Okay.
Leaf off folder?
Potentially through the trees. But that's like that, software, like the Google Earth software you download, not the website.
Oh,
Oh, you have to have
But
the
it's free.
software.
It's free, yeah.
Okay.
So what do you think?
yeah, it wasn't,
I think we need to show that it's been there an awful long time in order for us to give forgiveness, but Typically, we've asked structures like that to be moved.
Well, what was there-
Typically, it's a shed that you can put on skids and slide. That's not the case here.
It's to be
What was there
distressed.
before this?
Hmm?
What was there before this?
A wooden well, the remnants of something, but it was, when you moved it, it was a wooden platform.
Right, I don't
Might have
know if
been
it
the
was
remains of an old shed or something.
an old shed or an old
Previously
gazebo.
disturbed area?
Yeah.
Would it qualify as a previous disturbance?
I think so.
We'd have to look.
Plus, he
we'd
has,
have to
he
do
has
the
stone
forensics.
around it, so that the water, he's not, the water's going into the ground.
It's in the 25 or it's in,
It's in the 25.
the whole, all of it or just some of it?
Most of it is, yeah. Because behind it, the skunk cabbage is all crept up and it's wet. It's definitely majority in the 25.
Is there any other part of manicured lawn that's adjacent to wetland that we can give back as additional buffer to keep this thing where it is?
That's what I was thinking.
Like
Get some sort of 2-to-1
mitigation.
compensation? Yeah.
You'd have to be.
We're not gonna- I don't wanna
talking
move
2-to-1
this.
minimum.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is there such a place?
Is, yeah.
They could do some in the back.
Pick a corner,
along
pick a
the
corner
side.
elsewhere in the lot. Just stop mowing and,
Yeah, I mean, off to the right side, along the back.
Well, I'd like to see soil support what we're talking about.
Say that again?
We're talking about a replication area, a restoration replication area, right? Is that what we're talking about? At 2-to-1, at a 2-to-1 rate.
But I think an upland restoration, right? Is that what
Yeah.
you're thinking?
Are you talking upland?
Yeah.
no, taking upland area and converting it
Right.
into buffer zone.
Converting it into
To
buffer
buffer
Yeah,
zone.
exactly, yep. But you're right, if you just stop mowing it, maybe put a
If
native seed.
if the skunk cabbage is that aggressive and it's already creeping uphill,
Yeah.
if we hold an area in the remote corner of this lot, anywhere near the wetland, I think it's gonna just come right back.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
without any further invasive, intrusive type of work, physical work, just let it happen
So I think
by
we need to
stopping mowing.
I think we need to see that proposal in front
Yep,
of us.
yep.
You know what we're talking
And
about?
Perhaps some
I do not.
soils.
Okay.
Okay.
Textbook, this has to, the shed, the cabana has to come out. We don't wanna do that.
We don't want to do
It's not as easy as some of the other shreds you can put on skids and slide out a little bit. It's not like that. This is pretty solid in the ground. But because it's in a resource area that can't have a disturbance, we're looking up in that corner, a little further up the page, if you will, with, what is that, I'm not sure what that says.
Unpermitted
Where
structure.
the word unpermitted is, maybe give up mowing some of that yard area, put a little fence or something in the place, and just let it go natural behind it.
Create a no disturbance
At the,
zone.
at the ratio of
2-to-1.
double of what the shed size is, and we get what we need, and you get to keep your shed. That's what we're leaning towards in this discussion.
But it would have to be a legitimate replication area, a legit no disturb area.
We usually require plantings.
And we require planting, so there's some work you'd have to do. Amy could guide you through it, I think, or you could hire
Yeah,
a,
actually, we have a wetlands expert on staff. Did he go out there and design just show the, how much area?
We don't wanna get in that business.
No,
We don't wanna get in that
no, I'm
business.
saying
We
do one,
can,
two to
we can
one.
offer a
Assistance,
list of
guidance.
plants.
Yeah.
Just
We
guidance.
can
so-
say, we want so many shrubs, pick your shrubs, and we're gonna tell you where to put it.
That's what he, that's
So
what.
what-
And how to,
I get what everybody's saying, I'm just saying, be careful.
oh,
what
yeah,
you
no, I
start
know.
for a precedent with the homeowners that come before us.
Yes.
Or you'll be designing 1,000 of these.
I know.
It's better,
yeah.
it's
No, I
better to
know.
have him go out so it gets done once versus him going out and doing something and it's not good to us.
It's not lost on me, I'm just concerned about our
Yeah.
staff
Yeah.
taking on a new,
Unpaid wetland consulting
exactly,
services.
and that's exactly
That we
what.
can't provide to everybody.
That's right.
So where do you draw the line?
I completely agree.
We haven't asked the applicant tonight. Would it be easier just to move the structure out of the no disturb zone? Could you just move it?
That was built, that wasn't,
That's an option.
Okay, yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I personally wouldn't be able to move it, but I don't know if I can, I mean, what are my options? Hire a rigger or something to,
replication area somewhere else.
I'm gonna make a recommendation, see if you guys agree with me. Let's continue this so that he can draft together a proposal. He can request some guidance from staff,
So
limited
let's not lose-
guidance.
Let's not lose sight of what's before us. It's an RDA with a violation.
Yes.
Everything we've just talked about has left the realm of RDA into an NOI, and my opinion is, if we can keep that restoration area to a minimum and not get into a physically moving that, and it is only the deck in this restoration area, I think it stays an RDA. If we get into moving the shed, picking it up, reconstructing, moving it elsewhere, it's no longer an RDA.
So we should continue.
I think we continue this and
We should
give
con-
some
we
good
should
guidance to go back and rethink some of the options you have available.
Go back to the drawing board. We're gonna continue it, give you a couple weeks. Come back with your new idea.
Okay, so this is pending issuing the permit for the deck
Yep.
until this is resolved?
This has gotta be resolved. We're trying to give you a soft landing, if you can read between the lines here.
Mhm.
But you gotta, we can't design it for you.
Okay,
But
Maybe you get some professional help.
Staff can give you direction, and then you can choose if you want to go professional, or you want to go by with the recommendation. You can't say that.
How long would it take if, like, how long would it be for it to be grandfathered? Is there?
It's,
That's the new structure.
well, the footprint that he's talking about, the old wooden thing, wouldn't it have to be before 2001?
The previously disturbed portion that was
Yeah.
there, the previous disturbance would have to have been, oh God.
95.
This as-built 2007,
In the
right?
90s.
This as-built 2007, it wasn't there.
Right.
So
That's gonna be tough to prove with aerials. They get really, the resolution gets
Grainy.
terrible the further back you go.
What I'm saying is,
I mean, it's
in
possible.
2007
but
with an as-built, they didn't pick anything up, so it wasn't there in 2007. Going any further back, it doesn't matter what was there.
Like
Yeah,
you
it's
said,
good.
It
there's
wasn't
skunk-
there in
That's
07.
true.
Like you said,
Right.
there's skunk
Right.
cabbage growing right behind it.
So can we continue it and let them come
Yeah.
back to us?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You making that motion? I second it.
Well, should we,
Oh,
should we
sorry.
discuss the deck,
Yeah.
NOI with a 27-foot setback from the wetland? I mean,
I think it's,
an RDA with that minimal setback. I like the focus of the project and the direction of the project. I guess my question is, how does the commission feel about this being an
Replacement in
RDA?
replacement in kind smaller, which
Yep.
is what prevents it, because it's so close,
Yep.
prevents it from being a small project. Otherwise, it could be a small project.
Not with a violation, yeah.
But bar that, the deck I'm okay with. Those setbacks are actually an improvement of what's
So,
there.
so you're good with RDA on the deck part of it?
I am.
All right. Yep. Right, yeah, all right. Just want to cover the whole project.
yep,
Okay.
appreciate it.
So we need a motion to
So
continue.
we're gonna continue this and give you a chance to come back
Okay,
with a better idea.
all right,
Okay.
thank you.
You have a motion and a
To
second.
the 17th,
All those in favor say aye.
July
Aye.
13th.
Opposed, and that's unanimous.
That was Al me.
I didn't hear the second,
My
but somebody said we
motion,
had it.
Joe second, unanimous.
Wonderful.
Al, Joe.
Next one is 148 Main Street.
Alrighty. Okay. All right. So, Taylor and I consulted with the chair on this, so it might seem a lot, but for an RDA, but they're relatively, they're not, I mean, the activities in and of themselves are not earth-shattering, I guess, that's what I'm trying to say. So one phase of the project for the Sutton Pond condos involves removal of Asiatic Bittersweet from an Arborvitae hedge that separates Sutton Pond condo property with the Avalon Bay property. Vines will be cut at the base, and Roundup will be painted on the bases. Let's see, Bartlett Tree Company will be doing some root collar excavation of some trees that are within 25 feet of the pond. And that's a technique that utilizes air spade tool that, with an air compressor that removes and loosens soil around the base from like years of mulching and so that they can cut girdled roots and extend the life of the trees. The other phase involves irrigation, installation, and sleeving, and then parking lot reclamation and paving in terms of in the front of the complex. So let me see, I'm gonna try to pull up. No, that's not the one I want.
Joe?
I haven't dived into the parking lot issues, but the, all the landscaping issues, proposals I have no issue with whatsoever. They're reasonable approaches to good management of vegetation, close by our resources. Parking lot reclaiming paving, I've lost track. Didn't they replace a water main in that lot not too long ago? Wasn't part of that proposal to reclaim the lot then? And there were very specific conditions we had? Do you remember that?
I don't.
And again, there's a lot of proposals that came through the association that they never went through with.
Yeah.
But I think they were looking,
So
there was one.
water main replacement was done in 2016 under an RDA.
Bingo, that's what I'm remembering. So during that proposal, I thought they were reclaiming the parking lot then. Maybe they never did it.
We did not.
But I thought that was proposal, so I guess my point is,
So
if
they
we
never did
previously
it.
proposed it and the work they're proposing now is consistent with what we previously approved, then I have no issue with it. What we have here is edge control, perimeter control into the resource areas, and then any drainage structures, protection of drainage structures. Yeah. So if they reclaim, is it a full reclaim, or is it a grind? Are they grinding out and overlaying, leaving some material in place, or are they grinding it out full depth,
Full depth,
regrading?
yes.
All right, so that's not what they proposed on the RDA. That's probably why,
Approve that on RDA.
yeah. So this is a little more complicated. All right, so let's talk about the reclamation process. And you're with the condo association, or are you the
Yes.
engineer?
No, I'm.
We're gonna
on-
ask some tough
I'm on the board
questions.
of trustees.
Bear
And
with-
the answer is whatever you want to hear is the right answer. No.
Don't say that.
And what we say is, there shall be no violations. And that's easy, just give a permit.
No, I'll be honest.
Oh, I know, that's great. So what I'm trying to get is that when you reclaim a road, or any pavement for that matter, you're taking it all the way down to gravel, and then you're reblending it and taking excess out. That's not as simple as repaving a driveway, or grinding out a little bit and putting more back. That gets into any manhole covers and any catch basin covers that need to be taken off, plated, those structures protected during that construction process, cleaned out at the very end of the process, that it all gets back, and then if made by the fall and it gets cleaned out. And then ultimately, alteration of drainage patterns, is the finished grade of this proposal going to differ in any way of what's there now, meaning does the water flow in different directions? So those are the kinds of things that I think we would want to see and understand.
So there is this little section here that talks about the scope of work for reclaiming and paving.
I'm sorry.
It doesn't show any structures on the plan, and it doesn't show what they're gonna do with the structures, if they're gonna rebuild them, are they gonna change grades?
We don't plan on changing grades. So the structures, by that you mean the manhole?
The manholes,
Yeah, manholes.
are they
We do-
collapsed? Do
we
they have to
do.
be rebuilt?
No, they're
Does it-
fine. The parking lot just has holes and cracks but we just want to do it over well. so it doesn't need to be done for another 20 years or whatever.
Well, I agree with Joe. I think the landscaping parts of this project are certainly appropriate for an RDA. The extensiveness of the parking area and the associated drainage, stormwater management impacts that might have, I think, is typically covered under something like an NOI. So if you were to split the project up to do the vegetation, I wouldn't have a problem with it, but the extensiveness of that right close to the pond, of the parking area and the drainage impacts, I think is worth careful consideration by, the people that do this, the engineers that design these systems. So that's only my opinion.
Actually, the irrigation system's all new, and if you look at that last page, it's island, daisy chain linking of the islands.
Yeah.
So that's trenching and controls, and this,
Yeah, it's more,
this is an NOI. It's not an RDA, I'm afraid.
So what I would recommend is doing the IDA with the vegetation. I think that's approvable. And then have them refile an NOI for the sprinkler system and the paving.
Yeah, and this is gonna be subject to stormwater management standards. It's a redevelopment project, so there are specific stormwater standards you're gonna have to meet. And your engineer should be able to help you with that.
It's over an acre.
Yeah,
It's
and,
even subject to an EPA general construction permit.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is, yeah. Hey, to say,
Development.
all we have is a proposal from a paving contractor,
Yes.
Vernal and Sons.
Kidding me,
I
right?
mean, what we're talking about is an engineered plan. They cannot, this contractor cannot just come in and do this work.
Yeah, it's not exempt.
Without an engineered plan.
I looked earlier and
It's not?
that was, nope. It's gotta be, so for condos, if it's 4 or fewer units, it would be exempt. And there's a couple other ones, but it just doesn't meet any of the exemptions. So it's technically a commercial, what's the other one? Commercial and residential project, which is pretty all-encompassing. Like, there's no real differentiator there. So, do you use salt out there in the wintertime?
Don't admit to it.
They use something.
Okay.
I don't think it's salt.
So those, that's a
Everybody
way
does.
you can sort of get credits in terms of the stormwater standards that you have to meet. So there are multiple ways that you can meet the standards. Reduced salt next to the wetlands is one way. Deep sump catch basins, and your engineer, again, will be able to help you with that. Another thing is, we'll need to see where the outlets are, where the discharges actually are. So
Okay.
where the catch basins flow to. And sort of the condition at the outlets, if there's any like scour, things like that, you can put some rock at the end potentially to stop the erosion at the end. Because especially if there's not a sump, the water just sort of, rockets out of these outlets, so it can cause erosion. Yeah, I think that's gonna be the biggest hurdle, honestly. I don't think it's gonna be the actual construction itself. So, and any discharge to the wetlands, it's not just the 100-foot buffer, it's anything, any pavement that's contributing to that. So even areas outside of the buffer are gonna have to be taken into consideration for the stormwater compliance. And again, your engineer should be able to sort of break this down for you.
Okay.
So if it was just a simple milling of a couple of inches, would that still trigger?
Yeah, unfortunately,
Really?
it's, yeah,
I don't know why.
I've
No,
seen,
mill and fill, I think I would, it's not a land disturbance at that point, it's the reclaim that makes it the disturbance of acreage.
I mean, if they just milled
If
the
you're
green,
milling and filling and you're really putting back the same thickness and not changing your grades at all, everything flowing to the same basins in the same manner, I think you could consider an RDA with erosion controls around the perimeter and around each of the structures. I'd be inclined to, maybe this is a big acreage, but I'd be inclined to at
Yeah.
least talk about it. This goes far beyond that.
Yeah, I've seen literally simple patches on a culvert trigger the standards. And all of a sudden it's redevelopment, you gotta improve existing conditions. There's an ulterior motive to the stormwater standards. It's not, it's to make these types of parking areas
Better.
better water quality, less peak rate attenuation, so that's why it's so all encompassing. It's not just, they wanna fix these areas, right? It's not just project driven, right? It's
Reggie.
salt and oils and everything coming up, and this does flow right to the Merrimack River, which is an impaired water body as well, so that's another consideration.
originally was supposed to be a resurface, like I say, mill and fill. Now we got the irrigation with trenches across the parking lot. Now there's excavation involved. Now it's
And we can do some research on
So
that.
my
too, if there's
recollection of the mill
precedent.
and fill, that was on the water project that they were talking about it. I don't remember specifically, but this proposal for Venaria, it's clearly reclaimed, taking it all and taking excess
Right.
fluff, slough and taking it off the, off-site. So it's full depth reconstruction.
So if we don't do that, we don't have to go through all the extra work? If we just,
Let me tell you this, from
If we
the
just do the
investment that you're
minimum?
from the investment you're philosophically, the investment you're gonna be making to repave this thing, and the ground condition that's out there, you have base failure. You can put a Band-Aid over it by simply overtopping it again, it's just gonna crack and fall apart again. So for the little bit of engineering, a little bit of delay up front to get it all designed right and do it right, seeing how you're already looking at doing it right for this proposal, that's the best way to do it.
Look,
okay.
you can look at the other way too. How old is the condos are old? How long have the condos
Condos
been
in the
there?
80s, 90s, right?
So
And
if you
again,
get-
multiple phases.
I don't know what the
Alright.
condition of
Fits
the
the
parking
stocks.
lot is, but I mean, if they're worried about cracks, I could see. If there was holes, that'd be something else. Whatever,
There's
would
not
talk-
holes, but we did, like you said, we dug up for the water main, and there's cracks, and it doesn't look good, so we wanted to make it look nice again.
I would talk to your engineer because, and I should clarify, it's a redevelopment project, so you only have to meet the standards to the maximum extent
Extent
practical,
practicable.
which means there's some sort of negotiation in terms of what that means. So I would talk to your engineer and just see what they think might be reasonable accommodations. Again, like deep sunk catch basins, so that would just be replacing existing catch basins with something that's a little better for water quality. Again, reduce salt in the area, proximate to the wetland. There's a few ways to take care of that, and maximum extent practicable is a bit subjective. You know what I mean? So it can be sort of a negotiation in terms of a good faith effort and what you can even do out there. So because it's redevelopment, you're constricted by what's out there. You know what I mean? You can't just do a wholesale reconstruction of the parking lot with like permeable pavers and things like that. You know what I mean? So I recommend talking to the engineer first, see what's possible out there, and then just kind of go from there.
Okay.
So does the commission want to,
I don't think we can break out the RDA. I think it's a positive determination.
Okay.
I don't think we can parse out any piece of this, even
Okay.
though we've given guidance that you've got, since you're bringing in a full project anyway, those other elements become components of the full NOI.
okay,
No.
Okay.
Unless they specifically modify, I mean, the only thing you realistically do, the only thing you do is the mucus, not mucus, the
Root-
Bartlett,
root-
work.
root
That's the only thing that's possible.
So you would,
And the bittersweet, we can take out the bittersweet?
That's what I'm saying, how do we pass that out?
If the applicant wanted to withdraw the current application, break it out, and then propose an RDA for the vegetation management part of it, I think that's, yeah, we think that's probably a negative and working in your favor.
And you could get started on that once you get a permit.
And you'll need time to work on this parking area improvement that probably would come in as a separate project. And probably would be a notice of intent.
Have you got any quotes for this parking lot yet?
Pardon me?
Have you got any quotes for this parking lot yet?
Yes, from Veneria.
Oh, okay.
And I was actually just gonna touch on that, because cost is a consideration
Yeah.
in the alternatives when you're looking at stormwater. And maybe you can, it's right in this, volume 1, chapter 1.
Yep.
Maybe you can sort of give her that list of the considerations. So, in other words, if replacing all the catch basins is gonna double the cost of the project, that's a little unreasonable, right? So those kind of things do come into play. So talk to your engineer first, see what they think is feasible, sort of crunch some numbers, figure out how much it's gonna cost, and then sort of paint a picture for us what it's actually gonna take to do this, and things that are reasonable. So,
All right,
So
in review,
just a question for you guys. So could you continue this RDA to save them from refiling an RDA for the landscaping part? Could they come back with a revised proposal just for the landscaping part?
That's what we're recommending.
Okay, all right. And then they can do the NOI.
Being careful to, don't consider irrigation part of landscaping.
Right.
But
So
all the other stuff.
it would just be
It's
root
just the
collar
trees and
excavation
trees.
and bittersweet removal under the RDA, and that would be, you'd come back with a revised proposal, so that's the plan of record for this RDA. And then the full reclaim and pave and the irrigation would come under the NOI.
right?
we could make
Okay.
two decisions on an RDA though, right? I mean, we could check two boxes, one positive, one negative, and then just specify
True.
which, you know what I mean? The positive for.
Let's continue it, let's give an RDA of what they're going to do under the RDA. Let's prove it.
Keep it
Okay.
clean.
Clean as a whistle.
All right.
Okay.
Knowing full well we're
Yep.
not gonna let them do the irrigation and the paving
Okay.
until an NOI is filed.
Okay.
Much cleaner, and it allows them to get moving as
Yep.
soon. As soon as, a couple of days after the next meeting.
Okay, so we're gonna continue the RDA.
So it is a public hearing, so I don't know if there's any abutters that
Are
want to
there any
speak.
abutters to this condominium?
No one, okay, just want to make sure.
All right, so we're gonna continue the RDA to the next meeting. We don't discuss the NOI because we don't have anything for us. All right, so we need a motion.
Move to continue to next meeting.
7:13?
7:13, 3 weeks.
Have a motion and a,
Second.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next one. Next one is 89 Mayflower Drive.
Okay, you're probably right. It just threw me for a loop. Okay, I'm just gonna pull up I'm just gonna pull up the photo. Alrighty. So the project includes expansion of an existing 6x8 patio to a larger patio with dimensions of about 15 by 13, and a small associated retaining wall, as the grade is uneven in the areas, and there will be needs a little bit of grading in between where the patio is, and it's gonna go towards the existing deck. The patio will have an associated walkway that will connect to the back stairs. And based on the field inspector's on-site measurements, the new patio will be about 60 feet from the BBW at its closest point, and the walkway will be about 54 feet from the BBW at its closest point. And that's always a conservative measurement, so. All excess soils will be brought from the work area to trucks in wheelbarrows and taken off-site. and access to the work area will be between 87 and 89 Mayflower, on the side of the house that is farthest from the resource. And the side that it's close, the side of the house that's closest to the resource is too tight, so it's not feasible for construction access. And I'll get the plan up. And the homeowner is here this evening if you have questions.
Joe, any questions?
Very practical, thorough job for homeowner. You guys did a good job. So you're looking to extend the patio out a little bit more than it is, so a total of 13 feet.
Yeah.
So it makes it not closer than 60. You've got a threshold at your sliding glass door, so the water probably traps in there, as it is now, and you're looking to prevent that probably.
No, see, that's not happening.
It's not?
No.
So,
Because the thing is, it's wetlands, but I never see water there.
but it's not getting into your sliding glass door either? Okay.
Nothing.
So my caution was if you're getting it out further, it's only gonna capture more water, and you
Oh.
wanna make sure it doesn't slide back towards your house.
But it's not happening at all, which, yeah. It's, I think I never see accumulating water there when it rains.
Okay. So if that's the case, then we're not looking at any regrading of the yard other than just preparation for the new patio? If there's no yard grading,
You know,
I think I'm all okay
actually,
with it.
so, like, you have the glass door, and then when you go towards the wetland, it kind of like there is an elevation.
Raising up?
Yeah,
Well, that's what I'm talking about, because if you extend your patio further out,
yeah.
it's simply gonna capture more water and bring it back.
Yeah, but we're still gonna keep some of the elevation because we still, we're still gonna have, somewhat like a good amount of grass there.
Mm-hmm.
So the elevation still gonna. So you're saying the water is it's gonna go, but yeah, okay, I see what you're saying, but it's not happening now.
She can get water to run uphill.
That's what I'm saying, and that's why I wanna be real careful that that doesn't happen.
But it's not happening at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's got a nice grade for what she wants to do, it looks like.
It works.
So the only thing I would add as a safety, the level of safety, is around the perimeter, along the edge, this side of the patio, and along that edge, give yourself a stone, crushed stone, drip trench, so your patio, if it does get water, at least it gets into the trench and doesn't wash in.
You
I would
say-
actually add something, and that was all I would add, is a drip edge around the perimeter of the patio. And give it a place to drain.
In the patio, like stone. Yeah, no, we can do that.
It's
Yeah.
just crushed stone, so it drains better.
Okay, crushed
and that's all I
stone.
have.
Okay.
No questions.
Jack,
I have no questions.
Ryan,
Questions?
motion?
So recommend closing the hearing and issuing a -3 with pre-construction and erosion control requirements. All construction materials to be stored in the driveway and excess soil to be removed from the site. We can add a crushed stone perimeter requirement, and then post-construction meeting to verify compliance.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Opposed? And that's unanimous. Thank you, all set.
We'll deliberate the RDA, because that's probably one thing I want to add in, because there's an advantage here. There is already a downspout pipe right there.
Yeah.
If they tie that stone into that downspout, the water goes away. So we'll talk about that during deliberation.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Thank you.
Next one is 733 Turnpike.
Yes, so it's a part of the.
Oh.
Yeah, it's just someone has this, Oh.
Was there an abundance?
Yeah.
What's up there?
It just goes.
They get rid of one on the outside.
I think it was.
They had a picture. Nice.
I don't think we're gonna add anything to it.
Can't get in. I can't get in my truck. I kissed the curb and I almost ran it, but I didn't.
guys ready for
ready.
733 Turnpike? Okay.
We're trying.
Okay. All right. So you'll know this as the Jasmine Plaza Strip Mall, and it contains a Dunkin' Donuts drive-through. The drive-through has a canopy that has been removed, and there is a center concrete curb. That curb will be jackhammered, excavated out, filled, and paved over. Based on my on-site measurements, the edge of that curb is approximately 68 feet from the wetland. There is a catch basin that's located in between that little island and the edge of the curb of the parking lot, and that dumps. You can see there's a pipe that dumps into when you look down. So I think that would be the thing that would need any protection, if at all. But the canopy is gone, and so that center curb is going. And the owner is here if you have any questions for him.
Joe?
You take the canopy down and someone finally hit it the last time and it fell down.
Yeah,
Every time I go through the drive-through, I can't believe it.
it gets hit a lot. Now they're hitting the yellow poles in the middle, I don't think.
You should just leave it up and put on America's Funniest Videos.
You know, they hit the building, they hit the pole.
Oh, no.
It's amazing what people do for coffee.
Actually, you have no comment on what they're proposing other than that. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I have no questions.
I don't either.
No questions.
Motion?
So negative, and it's in Riverfront, because that's Mosquito Brook that runs right by it. So a negative number 2 because of Riverfront, and number 3 for buffer zone. And just a pre-construction meeting with the Conservation Department and protection of the catch basin. I don't know, yeah, just, that's the downstream.
Yeah, all the other catch
If needed.
basins go to the detention area, but this one that you're talking about goes right into right to the
Kind
wetland.
of shoots
Yeah.
right out.
Yeah, we're gonna be done in a day, probably half a day.
So you talk about protection, you just silt sacks, right?
Yeah, if you guys think, I mean, that's the only thing that I can think of that would need to be done, but he said it's like less than a day's
Yeah.
worth of work.
We're not gonna do it
So
in the
it's
rain.
really not.
So,
Should take-
I'm all set.
All right,
So moved.
second.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous.
All right,
You're all set,
you're all
thank
set.
you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you very much.
Next one's a modification, 242 18 08.
I'm not sure I have any representatives here this evening. So
Are
I
you
will-
expecting anybody? Do you want
Well,
to
they
table
were,
it?
they said they were trying to find somebody, but I I can present it, and if you have questions, we can continue it.
Okay.
Or
I
if you
just
feel,
soon table it to the end of the meeting, we do the same thing at the end,
Sure.
in case something does show.
okay,
I agree. They're not
Alrighty.
here. They're not going to be hurt by the table.
okay.
With my other table. All right,
You got two.
next one is 242 1716 146 Main Street.
So the commission will recall, this is a order that was issued for removal of the existing pump house and a failing sewer pump station and replacement with a below-grade 1,000-gallon pump chamber, duplex pump, exterior control panel, and force main to connect to the existing. The applicant had comments from the Office of Dam Safety that required them to shift the location of the pump chamber 10 feet away from the toe of the earthen berm dam, or the slope. Remove and dispose of existing manhole and fittings and plug existing CI around new line inside existing 4-inch CI sleeve, install exterior control panel, audio-visual alarm, and they made a notation of optional temporary excavation to install new force main up at the roadway. Applicants here this evening. Do you have any questions?
Thanks, Annie.
But we were anticipating this modification. It was just a matter of working it out with Sutton Pond condos.
Thanks. Joe?
I have no questions at this point.
I also have no questions.
No questions for me as well.
Jack, you sir?
Yep.
Brian?
No questions.
Okay, there's no questions.
What are you gonna do? Staying safe?
I mean? I'm sorry, Brian, I didn't hear you.
He was just making a joke. It's dam safety.
Check for buttons.
Do you have any budgets to this project, Main Street project?
No, it's not a hearing, but that's all right. Nope.
None answer.
So the order will expire in November of 2023. It had the benefit of the tolling period during the pandemic emergency, state of emergency, so it has extra time on it.
Motion?
Do we have a motion?
I move that we approve the modification for 242-1716, 146 Main Street, as proposed.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. All set.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Enforcement. We have a letter, I get Foster Street, Hilton Oil Company.
So we're waiting on the opinion report from Clean Harbors and Wood Environmental. Their chemist had some questions for the lab that haven't been answered yet, so we don't have that document in front of us yet. Our LSP has recommended that perhaps we hold a special meeting once we do get that document, because it's going to be pretty dense with information, and, you know, putting it on a regular agenda, it'd be too unwieldy, so that's food for thought. In the meantime, Clean Harbors is out there changing absorbents within the left descending bank area, providing reports of their observations. It was not a lot of change.
What did we get from Tony today? That there was additional data that was overlooked? Late today we got it?
Well, based on the additional sampling that they did, they had questions for the lab, and they haven't gotten their answers from the lab yet.
Okay, so that's still churning through
Yes.
for this final report?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Yes.
And there were some observations from,
I saw that, yeah.
there were some
Patrick.
observations made,
Yeah.
And,
Do
and
we know what the nature of the questions are? Just that they're just simply not ready
yeah,
to
they're,
report to us?
right. He didn't divulge what the
That's surprising.
questions were.
So I figured I'd ask.
And our ecologist, Pat Seacamp, I think his report is still in the works.
All right, so we just need more data. We're not ready to talk about it.
Right.
Right. But I think once we get all those reports, I think it's probably a good idea to do just a separate meeting. It's just too much for, unless we have a really light agenda.
Well, let's see what they have first.
Okay.
So we'll move it
We'll
to
continue
next
the
meeting.
July
Let's- yeah,
13th.
Let's just continue it and see what the reports are.
All right, motion?
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
All right.
Opposed? That's unanimous. Next one is 450 Marble Ridge Road.
Alrighty. Commissioner will recall issuing an enforcement order for the import of fill along the side of the driveway that was in the 25 and partially could be in the wetland. We gave the homeowner a deadline of today to remove the fill. He has been having a tough time lining up a contractor to do it. I encouraged him to write a written progress report for you. You have that in your packets. The contractor says that they're geared up to start to do the work on the 20th, which is Friday, the 24th. So, I let the applicant or the homeowner know that you may or may not grant an extension. You may decide to issue fines, but I encouraged him to at least write to you. He can't be here. He's working the night shift, so.
Next meeting is
July 13th.
13.
So that's what,
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
I think he's trying. I would give him 3 more weeks.
I would too.
So would I.
So we have, and we have a deadline of July 6th for the wetland to be delineated. So, and I reminded of him of that deadline, so,
All right, well, let's leave that in place.
We'll ask them to come back on the 13th.
okay.
Right.
So let me ask you this, Amy, by telling us that the deadline for the delineation was sooner, can he not delineate it till the fill's out? Is the fill in the resource area or up? In
It's
some areas, we think it's over it, don't we?
Portions of it could be just.
just inside.
So that's why we need to have the material out first before we
I would
delineate.
say, yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure we're clear on
Yeah,
that.
well, like I said, we give him the 3 weeks after that, he's gonna have to start shopping. I would say, how long would it prolong this, especially when you want it to.
So do you want to shift that delineation deadline? I mean,
I would leave it. I would leave it for now.
Yeah, he can talk to us on the 13th.
My point is, it's a de facto violation of the enforcement order. But as long as we're
I
all on
know.
the same page, knowing when he comes in on the 13th, he couldn't have possibly done it because he didn't do the contracting.
Right. We know it, so.
But by some miracle, Tim shows up Friday and he's willing to stop Monday. He might be ready, who knows?
Yeah.
Let's leave the deadline.
Leave it, just leave it. I move that we continue.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. Next one, yay.
so
40
I need,
Flagship
I'm
Drive.
sorry, guys, I need a little direction on that. So you are
On which one?
extending the deadline to the 13th for the removal of the fill?
Yeah, the next
Or-
meeting, yeah.
Yeah,
I just want to, because you probably, that's altering the enforcement order and we need to sign a new one.
When is the deadline for the,
Removal was today.
was today, okay. So he's still, that, just because he didn't make the deadline doesn't mean we're waiving that. He still has to remove it, or does it have
Okay.
to be restated? In other words, so he didn't make the deadline, we didn't change our minds.
Okay,
It has to still come out, do we
All
have
right.
to say it?
Have one deadline
We're
for
just
both
extending it.
activities.
Amy, do you just need a vote to extend the deadline, keeping the order in place, or do you think we have to issue a new order?
You can modify the existing order.
modify the existing order,
The old
enforcement
order
order.
to the
Well-
13th.
Modify it to say the 13th, that's the
For
next meeting.
removal.
for
Yes.
removal.
And then we'll talk about delineation at that time?
Yes.
Okay.
I feel like we're giving him just enough rope to hang himself, but yeah.
I mean, what happens if he can get the contract to come in between now and the 13th, he then very well might be able to get the delineation done and meet that deadline. It's yeah, hope against hope, but
Yeah.
we'll see.
All right,
Leave the door open.
Door's open.
Okay.
okay.
Door's open.
We're not gonna
All right,
open-
so-
We're not gonna open the door
All right,
now.
I'll have you sign. All
Thank
right.
you.
40 Flagship Drive. Nothing's changed.
Clock's ticking, right?
Fines are accruing.
The fines are accumulating.
Yes,
We say this every 2 weeks, and it's all correct, it's absolutely accurate.
It's a stable site, and we're collecting fine money on it. No objection.
But they still have, the whole NOI is for the onsite and the restoration offsite.
Yes.
The meeting of the meeting of the abutter, meeting of the minds, that took place a month ago.
yeah.
So we just don't have an NOI.
We don't, and I am unwilling to waive that requirement.
No.
Absolutely not.
So,
and I'm willing to wait.
He's waiting for the bad weather to come.
Listen, I guess what's happening, I get what's happening here, and, you know, challenge accepted.
So I'm not gonna say that in public.
No, I just,
I know.
I'll say it for you.
All right. All right, so.
I move that we continue this to the next
The
meeting
7/13.
Perpetuity.
for an update.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. Next one is 366 Candlestick Road.
Alrighty. While on another site visit in the neighborhood, our field inspector observed some tree clearing and vegetation clearing that occurred in the buffer zone to the BVW at 366 Candlestick. Violations did occur within the 25-foot no disturb zone and 50-foot no build. Removal of large oak pines. Some root balls were removed, and that was in relation to solar panel exposure enhancement. We also observed a fountain that was put into a potential vernal pool at the back of the house that has since been removed. There was a sump pump that was installed at the edge of the wetland and pumps to the pool. That has been removed, but the sump area is still intact.
I pulled those out,
You pulled it out?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
as you said.
Okay, all right, well, at the last time, this was it, yep. And then there's some dumping of grass clippings along the BVW, along the shared driveway. That would need addressing.
Okay. Joe, you want to start?
Oh. Seems like I'm the heavy, because I sit here, I guess.
You can always bat second.
That sounds like a good idea. Okay.
Okay. Hi, sure. So,
Yeah, the homeowners are here.
I think I'm concerned by all the action taking place on the site, but I'm extremely concerned about the fountain in the vernal pool. I just am having a hard time with that one.
I just stuck it in, there was a picture of it there. I stuck it in probably May,
Yeah,
and they said pull it out, I pulled it out.
right in the middle of the migration and breeding season of the critters that
Ran for a couple hours a day, you're right, yep.
you sucked out the life out of that pool.
Hopefully they'll come back the next season. but
Well,
we
so
don't know.
there's gonna need to be some, do you have have you engaged a wetland scientist for restoration purposes?
I'm not, just these two.
Just our staff? Okay, so our staff is good, but you need the services of
I
a,
need to restore it, tell me what to do.
well, I'm gonna give you my recommendation, and, you know, you can follow it as best you can. My recommendation is you need to engage a wetland scientist to come onto your property, delineate the wetland, and put together a restoration plan that you can put before us that's approvable, so we can let you restore the site. I'm getting the impression that you're cooperative.
100%.
I feel like you want to do it. So I would just say, Amy, on the violation notice, it's just a cease and desist, right?
Cease and desist, we remove the fountain and the sump.
Okay.
Respond to the letter, attend this meeting,
Okay,
and we did say, secure the services of wetland consultant to formally delineate the wetlands and prepare a restoration plan for disturbance within the 25. And I would add evaluation of the vernal pool.
well,
I'm sure that's
the
something
vernal
that-
pool, the evaluation, I'm not so sure what you can do, except right now, just get out of it.
They're out.
Get away from it.
They're out. They're,
Evaluating it, you know, it's a feel-good proposition at this point.
okay, okay.
Engage a wetland scientist, stabilize the site, and have the scientist on your behalf, submit a restoration plan, and I'd like to see a wetland scientist on staff and work begin by the next meeting, which is in 3 weeks. That's my take.
Okay. I'm in agreement with Mr. Manzi.
Can I make one comment? And you were there, Taylor and Amy. There is still garbage up that hill, which I've been trying to clear out.
What kind of
I
garbage?
saw the bags. I don't know.
You mean like trash garbage?
It's everything from beer cans to rugs to all kinds of things. So I am still trying to clear that out of there.
So right now, don't do it.
I'm not. I left it all there.
Well, here's what to do. Let the wetland scientist observe that and submit that to us as part of the restoration plan, removal. That can all be done as part of the plan. You can include everything you want in that plan with the scientist. But they'll have to delineate, so some of the area is gonna be no disturb, keep away. Some is gonna be usable. That's where we gotta begin.
Perfect. I've taken like 10 bags, 20 bags out of there
Yeah,
already.
just hold off for the moment.
Yep. No, I haven't touched it since.
Get somebody on site that can help you.
No problem.
It'll go better that way.
Perfect.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
The only question, I agree with what Mr. Manzi says, the sump pump, the discharge point, has that been fixed?
So the sump
Yeah,
has been taken out.
It was a hose, yep.
okay.
It's just
Yeah.
a hose.
Yeah, 'cause you can't directly discharge.
Nope.
All right, that's the only question, like I said.
When you say sump pump, it's not a sump pump in the basement.
No,
It's
it was
a
sump
it's a
that-
shallow well.
It was a shallow well.
Shallow well
And I was
point.
pumping it up
You-
to the trees on the top and the pond.
Yeah.
There were trees planted. Again, I've planted a whole bunch of trees there.
And it's too bad the funnel looks lovely.
I wasn't trying to,
I gotta,
wasn't trying to
I
cause.
gotta be honest with you, that just, when I see the fountain, it brings back some real bad memories. We had a similar situation on Great Pond Road about 30 years
Yeah,
ago.
I do remember that
And
one. Yep.
it was an agricultural pond that had been dug more than 125 years ago by the farmer to water his cows. And then over the years, as the cows went away and everything revegetated, it became a nice little pond.
Yep.
Great blue herons were catching fish. And
Then it became Wally World.
someone missed the point on a day when there were no grown-ups in charge on a particular day. And the same thing happened, and that's,
Became a miniature golf course.
we call it Six Flags.
Six Flags.
But that's what we call it.
Fair enough.
So we're having flashbacks here, you know?
I'm in.
Mr. Chairman.
Jack?
I agree with the previous comments. Delineation, restoration plan, get started within 3 weeks.
Sure.
I foresee, the restoration plan should be reviewed by us and maybe modified, and then it becomes an order to just complete it. So we want to get your property back to its natural condition. And I agree with Amy's comment, but I believe it is less urgent, and probably not timely to certify that, to evaluate the potential vernal pool, to see if it is a vernal pool or not. It's not a costly item to do. But you generally do that in the spring, but I think that's worth doing also, as kind of a follow-up to these urgent issues.
I would
The
suspect.
date is not gonna be there. The date is not
Next
gonna be
spring.
there.
I think that if we're going to go.
The egg mass is not gonna be there.
Do that next spring.
Next
would-
spring,
Next
yeah,
spring.
after the
Not-
fact.
not
We
between
should
now and then.
consider it a vernal pool. We should have it.
We should,
We should
because-
consider it, we should have the setbacks
It's-
recognized as if we have a certification on it, but we have to wait till next March.
We
It's
have to-
identified as a potential,
Because
and a wood frog hopped across my path.
I mean, unless
Mature wood truck.
unless the
wood
fountain
frog.
didn't suck everything out
Right,
of
so it's
there.
definitely using it, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they report the croaking of the, I mean,
Peepers.
they.
The singing
yeah.
peepers.
I
yeah.
The
I
peepers,
believe it, but
and-
we're never gonna,
No, I get it.
We're not
Yep.
gonna get it now. It's
Yep.
June.
It's
That's
after
fine.
the fact.
All right,
I'm all
so, delineation and preparation of a restoration plan by a wetland consultant by
By
the
next meeting.
deadline?
Is that
Oh, I'm
Ryan?
sorry.
Is that Ryan?
That's okay.
I'm so sorry.
That's all good. I agree with everything. I'm just, are we going to, if the vernal pool is surveyed next spring and it's found to qualify as being certified by the Natural Heritage Program, I just caution about that being a requirement to certify it. Because I'm not sure we can require somebody to certify a vernal pool on their private
Oh, no,
property.
they go through the process.
So what we can do.
Of gathering evidence.
We can-
require the setback.
Right.
We can require the 75-foot setback.
Yep.
And then if the homeowner wants to go through the process of certifying or decertifying, that's on them.
Exactly. That's all I'm saying is like,
But
I don't
we-
think legally we can make them certify the vernal pool.
But based on the
private
observations of wood frogs and peepers,
Yeah, yeah.
that's sufficient.
Under our bylaws.
Under our bylaw
Yep.
to establish a 75-foot setback, and, you know, they'll probably get more enjoyment out of it once the area is all restored
Oh, yeah.
nicely, you know?
Yep.
So there was no physical alteration of the buffer zone around the vernal pool.
Yeah.
It was just the fountain.
That's a lot.
No, I know,
that's-
I'm
that's-
just saying, I'm saying, when you say restoration.
That's a lot of damage.
No, I know that. What I'm saying is that you said restoration.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's
So if there's
restoration
anything,
needed
if there's,
around the pool.
if there's anything beyond the fountain that needs to be removed and restored, let the scientists tell us that. If there's none,
Okay.
fine, just
All right.
establish the setbacks.
We had tree clearing that the 25 vote to start. There's gotta be
Not,
some.
yeah, but not to the vernal pool. It's a different part of the
Different part
wetland.
of the
It's
wet-
different part of the
thank God.
wetland.
Okay.
Thank God, all right.
Yes.
So this could be cured very quickly.
Okay.
The faster you get the scientist on board, the faster you'll get restored.
And
We're
then,
not, we're not gonna stop you from fixing it. We just want you to fix it our way.
and then
The
just,
thing is, we've been on the commission a long time, but it's not that old. I mean, the vernal pool
Yeah.
habitat was likely discussed during that original application.
that's
worth-
a,
worth
that's a,
looking at.
that's a tough file to get through, so.
Oh, that's just up the
it's
fellow
a-
on the back of the
it's
truck.
a
No,
mess.
this house was
That
probably,
subdivision file's a mess.
yeah, this
but-
house was built a long time ago.
It was built in 93.
93?
That's,
Yeah.
see, Harry started.
So
The
they,
commission, yeah.
in 93, they wouldn't have checked the pool, I don't think.
Probably not.
Would have been Richard.
Well, let me think, it would have been Richard Doucette, it would have been Richard
So,
Doucette.
all right, so,
Was
I'm just trying to
kayakable.
remember,
so do we have a deadline that we want to place on?
That's what I was gonna say. We gave him great guidance, but I think with real deadlines. So what I'm hearing is, next meeting, procure wetland scientists.
Scientist and a restoration plan.
I don't think you get it that fast, but.
Well, let's
if you
ask
wanna-
for it,
if
let's
you-
ask for it.
Ask for that,
Let's
okay.
ask for it. If
But
you don't
I
ask for
think
it,
I think we put a deadline that the restoration be submitted to us, well, they say in the next meeting, that it be completed no later than next spring. So let's say September, the winter.
I get the impression they want to fix it up right away.
It's also
Yeah, the faster the better.
I get the impression they want
I'm
to get
saying give
this.
deadlines, because if we don't put some sort of date in, we just
Yeah,
we have a
we're-
floating
yeah.
enforcement order.
Agreed.
Let's give them dates.
Understood. We're going to give
Let's
you
agree on
deadlines,
those.
but you can beat the deadlines.
Why don't we leave it open until the next meeting? So we'll know how far they progressed already.
Step one, procure services. Step two, schedule completion.
Right,
Well, we want to see a restoration plan. We want to see the restoration plan.
right.
Right.
Yeah. I think we're all saying the same thing.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they seem to, they want to do it, so.
Okay, so Amy needs to know what they're at.
Yeah, so,
Just put the 13th.
for what?
Procuring the services of a wetland scientist and start working on the restoration plan.
All right.
Is that fair?
Yep.
Yes.
And then at the 17th, at the July 13th meeting, we can
Give them some
establish
dates.
further
Well, we can see how they do it.
deadlines
Yeah.
for
Hopefully they'll have some.
Submitting, actually
submitting,
submitting the actual
submitting
plan.
Yeah.
and completion.
Yeah, and then conclusion.
Yeah.
When they look at
Okay.
all, they get someone on board and
Yep.
get it going.
Okay,
And if you keep communication lines with the administrator, you're progressing. If you, for some reason, you can't get anybody within those 3 weeks,
We'll let these guys know.
there you go. Perfect.
We'll let you know.
okay. All right.
Awesome.
So we'll
Thank you.
be sending you a revised enforcement order with what was discussed tonight.
Okay, great.
All right, thank you, and we'll give you a list of consultants too. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we don't have to change anything on the,
I don't think so. Do you need it? Just,
just leave it?
I have, You're gonna sign a new one, because you
Yes,
just
there you go.
changed it.
Should get a new one, okay.
All right.
Very good, thank you,
Very
thank you,
All
Amy.
right, we're gonna go back to Campbell Road,
We have,
because I see Mr. Hawkins in the building.
All right, so we have to circle back to.
It's 242,
Camp
1847, it's an NOI, 161 Campbell Road.
You catch your breath, you're good.
Yeah, good, thank you. I can do mine fast.
Got it.
Okay, then Amy wants you on,
All right.
and then we'll
Hold
have
on, I
questions
gotta
for
find
the
it again.
commission, and then we'll listen to Greg talk.
All right. Find it. All right, project entails the construction of an in-law addition at the west end of the house, including a proposed paver patio walkway at the rear of the house within the 100-foot buffer zone to BVW. There are two BVW series, one at the rear of the house and one across the street. The site abuts natural heritage, but it is not within it. And a potential vernal pool is identified in the wetland across the street. The project respects the 50-foot no-build zone, and the walkway will be 55 feet at its closest point to the wetland, and the addition will be 75 feet, and that's to the wetland at the back of the house. There is a question about floodplain, and I'm going to let Greg handle that question. I reviewed the wetland line. I asked that wetland flag A5 and A7 be connected because the area of A6 has some historic yard waste that needs to be removed, and I believe that the line just naturally would connect there.
What's that?
That's it.
All right, Greg, it's all yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, everybody. For the record, Greg Hockmuth from Williams and Sparagus here presenting the applicants, the McCarthys, the notice of intent filed for their property at 161 Campbell Road. Amy summed it up nicely. The main project is an addition off the right side of the house. There's wetlands in the front, wetlands in the back. It would be a full foundation. So Amy brought up a good point. We'll more than likely need to dewater, so we will be submitting a revised plan with a dewatering basin detail on it, as well as correcting that recommended wetland change in the back to include the debris pile. It's not going to change the buffer zones much. It's just going to take that bend out of the 25 and 50. Yeah, the floodplain. So this part of town has a very strange Zone A, and everybody knows that Zone A has no elevation associated with it. The good news is Bill had a LOMA done in 2012, which pulled the structure out of the floodplain. But we're coming off the structure, so it didn't help us too much because the area is slightly lower where the addition's going. So we fully expected the addition not to be in the Zone A, and it turns out it's not going to be. The neighbor, 2 houses over, had a LOMA, but they also did a flood study. And based on their elevation, we think we're going to be at least 6 feet above the flood elevation, which is going to be 113.5, NAVD 88. We're on an assumed datum now. So we're going to go back out, set up the GPS, get on an established datum, and then just be able to show the commission where that flood boundary is. So we didn't have time to do that before the meeting tonight. We didn't have a file number until today. And knowing that we were going to make a few revisions to the plan anyways, we're not expecting the commission to close tonight. But we did want to come present the project, see if the commission had any other concerns. The McCarthys do want to do some maintenance to some of the wooded areas on the property. So the revised plan is going to show some hatched areas with a note that proposes to limb some trees. There's some dead wood. There's some struggling pines.
There's a couple trees that really need to be pruned, not to go in and clear cut and create lawn, but just to keep a healthy forest adjacent to the building and the addition. We are showing one tree to be removed off the right side of the addition. There's a large triple trunk oak, and right now the intent is to maybe just take one of those trunks off, but we want to get permission to take the whole tree down just in case the need arises. We've got a temporary stockpile area on the plan. Access would be across the front yard. We're probably showing a little bit more erosion controls than we need. So maybe at the pre-construction meeting, if this is approved, we can eliminate some of that, mainly between the abutter and the addition. There's a little bit of a upgrading area, but we just ran it along the edge of woods. As Amy pointed out, we are proposing a small patio off the addition and then a paver walkway from the existing driveway near the garage to get to that patio.
Thank you. Joe?
You guys already agreed on the line, so there's no, this whole neighborhood out back there is checkerboarded with vernal pools, but not in this area.
We didn't see any evidence in this area.
Okay.
Yep,
So your setbacks are just to BVW.
that's right.
Yeah, it really all boils down to the, taking that fill area, that yard waste and straightening out. Basically, you can connect A5 to A7, pretty much straight across.
Exactly, and there's not too many lots that I go to that don't have Christmas trees and a debris pile right where it shouldn't be. But everybody knows now it can't be there, and there's no argument.
We all do, but not everybody. Because that's typically where they go. But okay, that's part of this project, taking that out. And then the Loma is a godsend. Thank God you got that.
Yeah, flood
Times two.
study in this area would be very costly.
So what's the floodplain do?
It goes all through Webster Woods, and
Is it?
yeah, it's there is an established elevation
So it's
further
not the main
down.
brook down on Salem Street?
No, that
Not
has an
Boston?
AE, so there is an elevation
Yeah.
associated with that, but this isn't even contiguous with that.
Wow, it's weird.
It's just a low point between all the neighborhoods.
Yeah, I question if it's even bordering, to be honest with you, but, you know, we'll take it, I mean.
Right.
I mean, but it doesn't connect to anything. I was looking at it on the map. It's literally just this weird polygon that doesn't
Yep.
actually connect to any stream or anything like that. It's a little
Right.
odd.
Yeah.
Go back to the Shaney
It's
Bowl.
the Shaney Boulder effect.
The Shaney Boulder
We've
effect.
proven that over and over again. Dow Shaney
The
Boulder.
hydraulic connection can be underground.
Underground
Ah,
hydraulic
yeah,
connection
all right,
follow-
all right.
follows.
It's all
follows-
glacial moraine out there,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
everything just flows through the boulders.
Yep.
And there is a hydraulic connection.
The Boulder effect has been, especially
How
on
Shaney
Campbell
got
Road,
us?
yeah.
Got to trademark that.
It's his to trademark. We just keep it alive for him.
Yeah.
I have no questions, Mr. Chairman.
The only thing I'd like to see, you said you're gonna do a revised plan?
Yes,
Could you just put in the construction access?
we can.
Okay, thank you. Jack?
Yeah, and you're gonna have a dewatering detail on the revised
Yeah.
plan.
We are. It's going to be set up out front. We did place it slightly in the buffer zone to the right of the stockpile area, just to give some room to actually build the addition and be able to get around, so it's not in the way.
Got it. And then resolve the floodplain for fun. I'm good.
Right.
I think the only thing I'll add is just like, I'd like to see just a few photos of the trees proposed to be removed, just,
Oh, yeah. I
so
got
if we ever
some
need to
pictures.
compare, you know.
I got a bunch of pictures.
Okay, perfect.
I did, from my
All
site
right.
visit.
That's all I have.
You don't need me to take any?
No, I clicked,
Yep, that works. I just want
yeah, no,
to
no.
document it so
Yeah,
we can
yeah.
compare to like
No,
the work.
you're
that was
right.
done, you know?
Yep. Yep.
That's all I have.
Okay, so we need to continue.
Is there
Yes,
any
please.
butters?
Oh, do we have any butters in this project?
Okay.
Move to continue for 3 weeks,
Yes, please.
July 13th.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Have a good night.
All right, circling back to
Enforcement order 1055.
1055 Salem.
Is
I'm
anybody
gonna-
here for this one?
Yep. 1055 Salem?
Yes,
Yeah, come on up. Alrighty. All right, Conservation Department was made aware of some activity going on at this property. Our field inspector investigated. Commission will recall that in, let's see, 2015, you closed out an order that governed the construction of the house. The construction of the house required a stone wall to be placed at the 25-foot no disturb zone. And this is a picture of an aerial of 2018. And you can see the wall. It kind of disappears in the tree canopy, but it, you know, you can see it in there.
To the upper left, or is it
It's the,
the arrow?
yeah, that's
Okay.
the subject house.
Got it, okay.
Yeah. And so we have aerial of 2019. So we have evidence of disturbance. So we issued a cease and desist. They've stopped all work, asked them to attend the meeting. Taylor and I went out there this morning just to try to dig around and see, you know, maybe how deep that fill is that was brought in, and we were down at least 1.5 feet, struggling to get to the parent material. So it's sand and, you know, there's like a layer of sand and then rocks and soil. So there's in some places it could be a couple of feet, and other places it thins out a little bit.
Is that entire area wetland that was?
No, it's a corner. I'll pull up the as-built. I hope I have it. Oh, crap. So we don't have the as-built. Let's see, hold on. Pass it along. So, and so we have wetland in the corner. So it's definitely, the fill is, you know, gone almost to, up to the corner here.
Okay, gotcha.
So disturbance in the 25 and
Folder if you want to pull it up. I just saw it.
in the,
Not in the meeting, one minute.
oh, okay.
So this also,
In the
Yeah.
this is
swamp,
actually,
all right,
I
okay.
don't know if you want it.
I'll pass it.
so this corner here is sort of like this, this area right here. But she said, you know, they did fill a little bit into it.
So this is the as-built?
Yep.
Same owner, same applicant?
No.
Was it monumented? Was it, I mean,
Yeah, it was.
we have a wall, but do we have
Well,
placards
yes, we
required?
do, yes.
They're out there?
And they're there.
Yeah.
Twenty.
18.
So on this, about the same time.
No.
14.
Stuff like that.
So, you know, Phil throughout the years, I mean, maybe this corner, no, but it's.
Okay, we got it, then there, it's a flagrant.
When I was at NH, I was very careful about that stuff, because I don't know about scientists, I've done this stuff for years, but even.
Restore.
I think, yeah, I think they bought it in 2018.
Yep.
So, did we ask them to engage the services of a wetlands scientist? I'm looking.
I don't know. Not yet, but we will.
Okay,
Not,
so-
and we just wanted them to stop, come to the meeting.
So, we want to,
The homeowners here.
we want the cease and desist to remain in place.
Yes.
We'll do the same thing like we did on
And
the
just like the previous owner, we want them to engage the services of a wetland scientist and come back before us with a restoration
by the
plan
by the next meeting.
by the next meeting. Same as the previous violation.
Okay. So the commission is going to want you to engage a wetland biologist to help prepare a restoration plan.
We can have Amy give you a list of approved scientists. It'll have a bunch of names on it, and you can choose any one you want.
Excuse me, he is my
Yeah.
son.
Oh,
that's
My
fine.
English is a,
No, this,
you know.
No, we get it.
all right,
We get
thank
it.
you so much.
Yep.
this is no problem at all. We can work
Okay.
with you.
Yeah, because my English confused, you know.
That's okay.
No. Cuando dice restaurar, ¿a qué se refiere?
To what you mean by restoring things?
That's up. So, make sure you understand, the wall that's there, was put there deliberately, meaning everything behind the wall,
Yes, I do.
nothing could be disturbed,
Okay.
nothing.
So, el muro fue
Go ahead.
Okay.
El muro fue plantado para que usted no lo tocara. Eso fue el plan del muro, para que usted no se interviniera a hacer cosas, a tocar ahí las cosas que están atrás de él. Por eso está protegido, por eso crearon el muro.
Oh, okay.
Because it was disturbed, you have to take it all out, and you have to restore it to its original natural condition.
Eso lo que usted tiene que hacer es sacar todo lo que está ahí y ponerlo para atrás a su natural orden que estaba ahí.
No problem. Yes, I am confused because I'm buying the house. And the
En español, ¿quiere?
okay, yes, but okay. Cuando yo compré la
Your
casa.
dad was doing good.
Yeah.
Papa doing great.
Sorry. No, I am confused. Me confundí cuando compré la propiedad. La mujer que me la vendió me tiró un croquis que me hizo saber que era mío, pero yo me confundí. Lo que pasó es que tiramos, el nombre de la compañía que corta la grama la estaban poniendo ahí. Luego yo corté un árbol que está enfrente de mi casa, yo lo corté y he puesto unas ramas ahí y he sembrado unos arbolitos.
Para que no se pueda crear.
Explícame.
Ahora, dígamelo otra vez para entenderlo. Poquito por poquito, porque estoy hablando.
Por ahí, mi confusión fue
His confusion was
la mujer que me vendió la casa,
the lady that sold the house
me hizo saber que eso era parte de mi propiedad.
told him that that was part of his property.
It is.
Yes,
It is.
Yes, me confundí.
He got confused.
It's just a portion, it is his property,
Es su propiedad.
but it's restricted.
Es restricted.
Ay, no. Tal estoy lo entendiendo. Diga.
Right now he's understanding everything that happened in the back. He didn't mean no harm intention to do anything.
We understand that.
Yeah.
Ok, pero estoy con la disposición de colaborar en lo que sea.
He's
que quiera que haga.
he's willing to collaborate with anything to restore everything back.
And that's what we're,
That's what we're
so we
asking.
started with
Yes.
saying that that's what has to be done, and we're trying to tell you that's why it has to be done. So everybody agrees. So,
Ok, lo que pasa es una cosa de máquina que está ahí. Yo traigo una compañía, dígale, y he puesto una cosa, todo eso lo voy a mover. Eso lo que he tirado lo muevo.
He's also mentioning that he put a thingy for a machine thing, like you know bobcats, you know that plowing thing. He's gonna remove that. He's gonna remove everything that's in there to restore everything that he can, you know, to help collaborate with everything that we can to restore everything in that.
so in order, do nothing right now, just leave what's there the way it is. It's stable, right?
Yeah.
So leave it the way it is. The next step is you're going to find a wetland scientist. Amy and Taylor will give you a list of people to choose from. You can choose whoever you wish, but you may not know where to start, so we'll give you a list of names. They will come in, they'll look at the area, and they know the science. They know what needs to be done in order to restore it. When they are ready to do that, they'll bring that plan to us as part of this enforcement. And that will lead to probably some sort of a permit that requires you to do this work in accordance with that plan. So there's no guessing, but in the meantime, do nothing. And I'd say, what, we're gonna do 3 weeks?
3 weeks.
So July, the list you should get from Amy tomorrow, and within 3 weeks, you should have a wetland scientist, hired to do this work. And you then come back to this meeting.
Eso lo primero orden la que tienen que hacer ustedes no es tocar nada de las cosas que están atrás. Ahorita, segundo, es buscar un científico que trabaja detrás de esos terrenos, de esas cosas que usted tocó. Ahorita lo van a dar o mañana lo van a dar una lista, la dueña y el señor, de científicos que trabajan en esas cosas.
Correcto.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so,
And
see you in
so-
3 weeks.
Right, and so we'll write up the order that we just discussed.
Okay.
And you'll get it in the mail. And we'll give you a list of wetland consultants,
No problem.
and scientists.
And if you have any questions, check with Amy in the town building,
Okay.
all right? All right,
So the commission should vote to ratify the enforcement order and amend it as discussed.
So moved.
Second.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that's unanimous. Thank you.
Great.
No,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
All right.
I'm sorry, man.
No,
That's
that's
okay.
I'm confused.
No
It's okay.
problem. You can work with Amy.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming. All right, so what's next? Yeah, come back July 13th with your wetland
But
scientist.
get a wetland scientist as soon
With
as
your
you can.
wetland scientist. Okay. All righty, thank you.
All right, next one is general new old business, high school cross-country proposed trail.
Trail
Yeah.
Is it the same one that was in concept a couple years ago? Nope. It's the new one.
This is-
Anybody here for this project? You wanna come on up and,
Is this, Amy, this is just the cross-country trail, correct? Did we verify this?
Yes. Yes, it's just a cross-country
The
trail.
one in red, correct?
The big one.
All right.
The one in red,
Okay,
okay. Just double check and make sure it's the cross-country.
Boardwalks are across that street and the other trail is over
Okay,
here.
so we're just,
Which this guy doesn't like.
all right, so we're just
So-
approving the.
so let me just give a segue, because Mr. Nugent and I walked the entire loop today so that I could better understand it. So there's a series of existing trails on the Stevens Estate that are going to be enhanced to be made safer, to cover routes, take out rocks, so that the cross-country team, they don't have tripping hazards. The existing trail that goes between, is the red trail between the summit and the green trail, that's all upland, no wetlands, doesn't need conservation wetland permitting at all.
Maybe sure, I glazed over my head.
What,
The
go ahead.
red trail is already there, for the most part, or at least
For
this
the most
section?
part,
For
for
this
the most
section.
part, right.
Okay.
This represents the entire loop that they want to dedicate for, to be the cross-country team's route for meets and practice.
Just to clarify, Joe, you see the parking area P in the center of the large sheet?
I do.
Okay, just directly below that is a loop trail. It's a loop, the red loop.
Mhm.
Okay, that's the only new part.
Okay, got it.
Okay.
This
And
loop
Half
That
Mile
loop
Hill.
there, yeah.
So
And-
that's, everything else is existing, that's proposed.
Existing, yes.
And the rest of the red's is
Much clearer, thank
And,
you.
and the little down, you know, the loop that circles Half Mile Hill, that shoots off, that's new. Just the loop.
That's the Traeger or this,
The figure eight.
The figure eight, the bottom half.
No, not even the
What's this?
figure eight. No, no, no.
Ha.
Sorry. So, this is new.
just that, okay.
This takes advantage of existing trails.
Beautiful.
And then they shoot off into this and go back onto.
Existing, and then, and this is new.
This is the carriage,
Yeah.
carriage road, and this is new.
Got it.
So,
Okay.
so that, this area, this is the Usla property.
Yes.
Yes.
this-
Okay, okay.
So that, I tried to give you this so that.
Yep, no, that,
All right, so
I'm
this
just
is
looking-
new,
yeah, yep.
all the rest is existing.
This is,
This,
this is our agricultural area.
yes, right, and then this is new, okay?
Got it,
All right,
like it.
so did you guys see that?
Yeah, I
You
know.
got that? All right. So, enhancement of existing trails doesn't need conservation wetland permitting. Creation of the new trails in the fields can be positioned outside the 50-foot no-build zone. At my direction, I'd be in the field to do it, but I paced it off and, you know, Mr. Nugent said there's plenty of room, even with staying 50 feet from the wetland.
How many didn't run the cross-country trail?
Because it's not safe yet.
It's not safe yet, right, that's right. And that trail, the development of trails in fields can wait until September 1st, so that we can get past any breeding season that's happening.
Are these gonna be,
What are you talking about?
keep up with the summary, we ask questions later.
Okay,
Are these just gonna be?
well,
is
they're
it-
gonna
are they
have
be-
to.
Do they wanna put stuff in there to make the?
No,
It's
so in the,
this, is
and
this
then
a
the
cut
outs-
trail or this
in
is
the-
or is
a
it just-
trodden
In the
trail?
Usler part, they're gonna need to kind of scrape it to make it level and even,
Yeah.
but not place anything on it, let it just grow back up, and it'll be just that.
So I'm not so much
So
asking
terrace
about
it.
the Usla area because we don't have any activity on the Usla property at all.
Well, we do.
Well, agriculturally, we don't.
No, we don't.
See, and the reason I'm one-dimensional on this one is because the agricultural equipment that's used to take the hay off of the half-mile hill, if there's anything out on the field that the farmer will hit when he's mowing the field, if there's anything out there to enhance the trail,
Yeah,
He will
that-
hit it.
that's a problem.
right. So we're not doing that in the fields
Okay.
at all.
Okay.
It's,
Cross-country course, you guys must run.
Look at,
It's
if it's just,
preparing
if
the
it's just
surface
beaten
so
We'll
down,
stay with this, because I'd have been better.
if it's just beaten down
Yeah.
and scarred a little bit, no problem.
yes, exactly.
As long as there's no pavers,
That's
boards,
exactly right.
posts.
No, nothing like that.
Nothing that
Nothing like that.
$40,000
Right.
mower will love to hit,
Right.
you know?
Right.
No, not even.
Just,
So that,
just saying.
so the second part of it that's sort of separate but integral to the cross-country trail is connecting that lower corner of that large parking lot to that new loop trail in the Usler farm, in the Usler field. And that will require a couple of bridges, a couple of boardwalks. That FONAT is gonna come forward
As under a separate
in,
project,
under a separate project,
not to be
under-
discussed right now.
I have to go,
right.
I have to go let our secretary in, she's locked out.
Oh, shoot.
Just go, Cora, we're good.
So anyway, but it is separate, but that's, they're going to, the cross-country team is gonna enter through that corner of that parking lot, over the boardwalks, and start the meet in that Usler field.
Could I say?
Right.
We're gonna start in the Usula field, but that bridge is not essential to begin the season, so we've got plenty of access on the carriage road.
Yes.
Leading into Usula, it's just a little longer walk.
Oh, all right.
So,
All right, so you're gonna walk there and then start, okay, got
If I
it.
could just
I got it.
Maybe add to Amy's
Yeah.
background. Amy and I and these folks here walked these things along with Audubon and Fonat, and what we tried to do was try to create a solution that's going to work for us. It's going to work for Audubon, it's going to work for the town, and it's going to work for the high school.
Yeah.
And our primary focus tonight, I think, is the Usler property, that Usler loop that I pointed out to you, Joe. And basically, the field right now is just grass clumps. You know how it grows in clumps, and it's uneven, and it could never be a cross-country course. The kids would be breaking their ankles left and right.
Yeah.
So, the solution proposed by the folks at the high school was to just rough grade the soil to a flat surface that would be safe for the high school athletes in that loop section there. That, and then along with enhancement, as Amy said, of the existing trails that are on the Osgood Hill property, to just bring them up to snuff so that they would also be safe for the athletes.
That's not jurisdiction.
Yeah.
But that's out of our jurisdiction. So I think the main thing that we've been talking about and approving is that this loop, this cross-country loop on the Usler property, number one, would not require any bridges, any wetland crossings. Would be 50 feet back, I believe,
Yep.
from the wetland stream that is shown on there. And, you know, it's basically just converting us, you know, paths of soil so that the cross-country team can go ahead and compete safely on a course that they've laid out. And so there was community preservation money approved to improve this path that was laid out, and they're ready to spend it. We've gotten approval from Essex County Greenbelt, which holds the CR for the Usler property. They've approved the trails as proposed, not only the cross-country, but also the Fonat trails. What we'd like to do is discuss how do we get these guys forward? How do we get them to a point where we can have a cross-country trail, a cross-country course actually for this fall's competition season?
So, I understand, thank you, great stuff. I understand everything, and the most compelling part of that conversation has got to be the gonna break your ankle, irregular terrain, go in and do some rough grading, some fine grading, if you will. So that's basically scarifying the surface somewhat. So you're going to have bare spots in order to level it off, and you need to revegetate that because it's actually against the hill. So you're gonna be promoting runnels and opportunities for erosion right down those areas that you're grading. So if that's not the case, we need to understand that.
The longest lines are straight up the hill and straight down there.
And if that's where the rough terrain is, turning angles, that's exactly if you're scarifying it to make it
The
smoother.
rough terrain turning angles is the entire parcel.
Okay, so it's those areas where you're disturbing the grass, the vegetative stabilizing
Yes.
cover, and you're scarifying some soils and leaving them exposed. They need to have some consideration of preventing erosion, running it out, and two, revegetating it and have it reestablished before we trodden it in the fall, which means you're gonna be forcing to irrigate in this thing if you do it this summer.
So I know the desired surface, finished surface is grass. And what I think what they plan to do is to mow that grass in the path prior to the meets, so that it's well-defined and it's reasonable to run on. How they get from here to vegetated surface by the first meet, I can't comment on that, but.
They use a rotary mower, like a big 7-footer. 7 or 8 footer with a heavy rotary blade, that'll really do it.
We're not talking about no mowing it down, what we're talking about is,
Scraping.
you were out of the room, so I apologize. There's an irregularity, clumps of soil,
Yeah.
and tufts of grass, which is not uncommon in this type of field, right? They want to come in and level those off and make it less
Yeah.
dangerous, for lack of a better term, right? Make it less dangerous, make it more smooth, but by doing that, you're going to be scalping the top of the grass off, having areas of
In
bare
some spots, yeah, in some spots.
Well, from what I'm hearing, is over large areas, including going downhill.
It's pretty much the full running path. It's all uneven. I mean, on a micro
So it's
scale.
gotta be cut,
Yeah, it's not
yeah.
mountainous, I mean.
So they
No.
really, they gotta
No,
cut it,
it's-
they gotta cut it with a loader. They just gotta get a
Yeah.
front end loader and go along and cut it.
That'll go back in
Fight.
time.
That's
But
what-
it's,
that's really what-
it's the state, because that's going right down the hill. You now,
Yeah.
the concern is erosion, and you basically have invited a stream bed to establish itself,
You
that's not what we
To
wanted.
accomplish what they want,
You're only gonna be scraping the high sides,
yeah.
so they're not gonna strip the grass completely that's there. And if you go with a machine, with a Bobcat, you can just go right along the whole thing and just hit the high spots.
You know, I gotta tell you though,
I think we're getting into a little bit
the
of
guy that
guesswork
cuts the hay for us
territory
has a
here.
machine that can fix that, I'm telling you.
Yeah, and in fact, Steve is here.
Basically grade with the lawnmower.
He's got a machine that goes on the front of his Bobcat that's actually a rotary shredder.
A perforator.
That's it. And it does a beautiful job, and it doesn't cause any erosion at all, and
But
I
it
know
flattens the
the high
surface
school
enough
folks-
for people to run on.
it will.
I know the high school folks have worked out some
I've seen 'em.
solutions that maybe they can give us some details.
Yeah, just to address Mr. Lynch's concern, I think that's, when Amy and I were out there today, the area that's the most hilly, at Half Mile Hill, those paths are already down to the dirt. They already exist. Remember, we were walking, the existing, so there's most of where we're
Orange.
proposing, where it goes uphill, where potential for a stream to develop, they're already down to the dirt. It's probably about 18 inches wide, roughly, 12 inches to 18 inches. It's already a
Oh,
cut
on each
path,
side.
and it's just a natural path that's developed by people hiking.
That's just mowing.
Well, that would be mowing in that area. I think the part that would probably need the most attention would be the Usla property, and that's fairly, like, it's a level plot, but uneven because of the
There's- yeah.
tufts.
There's
So,
some-
I don't know if that helps at all.
Completely different statements from
Well,
from you two.
okay. And you took my statement, it is
You
pretty
said
flat.
everywhere. Everywhere they're running, and that's what I'm running with, so to speak.
Well,
But,
that's true.
Uneven on a micro sense. The tufts are very small, maybe 2 inches in diameter. They're
But they're all
over
over
the
the
place.
place. I mean,
You
yeah.
could never run on it. So what they're doing is they're just gonna grade it out flat. And I said that the long lengths are uphill and downhill, but the uphill and downhill isn't very
They're
high.
not- it's not
It's
steep.
not very
It's
steep.
not wicked
It's-
steep.
It's maybe a
There's some-
difference of 3 feet in the course of 200 yards. So that's,
Yeah, I don't think this project is be major erosion control, major erosion. I think if they come with a Bobcat and just set the blade down and just go, push the grass down, it'll take those bumps out.
that's all they're doing.
That's all they're doing.
I just prove me wrong.
well, once the path is established with coating of established grass, is that a concern anymore?
No,
That's the
it's
idea.
just
Is
getting
I'm talking about
getting
how do you,
Your
I'm saying get the
concern
work
is
done,
September
prevent
of
erosion, and how do
2022.
you get it, how do you get it to a
Yeah.
condition that
Yeah.
you could run on it this fall? Because you typically want a sports surface to go through at least
When
one
would
full
you-
growing
When
season.
would you need the course?
So you,
They'd be roughly the third week in September.
All right, so we still got another weekend. If they started in July,
It's a good time to start, actually.
they'd have
I
plenty
mean,
of time to go grass.
would erosion
but I'm
control?
saying, that's what I was saying earlier, you don't almost have to irrigate it to get it to establish.
Would erosion control blanketing make sense?
Hmm?
Erosion control blanketing make sense?
Now you tangle up in it.
No.
Yeah, that's even worse.
Okay.
I think to an earlier point, we don't know what the first pass of just mowing it would bring us to identify the areas. I don't envision us taking a bobcat and just scraping that whole field. Well, you're looking at about 8 feet in diameter in most cases, and in many cases, the right type of equipment would bring some of those clumps or tufts
I've been
of
in
grass.
construction my entire career, and I've been in conservation for the lion's share of that. I think this is the perfect project where you go out and mow the path. Mow the path, and then we do a sidewalk, because honestly, God, I'm not seeing, I think there's a potential for failure here.
A 7-foot wide rotary shredder, a John Deere 709, 7-foot wide rotary shredder, and just put it as low as it'll go. It'll cut 95% of everything, and then where there are any little bumps, the blades will just cut that off and level it, and it'll make it, you'll be amazed at what you get out of it. I've been doing field reclamation projects for 40 years.
And I'm saying
Exactly what it's called.
do that, if that's what we're here for tonight, isn't it?
It's nothing, it's a
This is just a
discussion item.
discussion? I mean, could we even authorize that work as part of our mowing and maintenance out there? Just to get
That could be
give
the
them
f-
permission
that
to
could
get
be the
that done?
first
To
step.
mark it out so we can walk it
Yeah.
and get a better feel for it? Because until we actually know where it is and how effective that approach is, then I'm reluctant to believe we don't have a
We
potential.
would do no
erosion.
harm putting the mower on it as the first step would do no harm at all. But just make the trail walkable so that a further assessment could be made.
On the Usler property, but not on the Half Mile Hill, because we still have bobolinks nesting
2 more weeks.
on Half Mile Hill.
Any bobolinks that are still out there are gonna get eaten by coyotes.
They're out, well, that's not the
They're
point.
still nesting. Well,
They're
we
done
have,
nesting in 2 weeks.
well, we don't allow
They actually
mowing
show
until late August. That's
Oh.
in our Half Mile Hill lease with Josh Nutter, so why, we
They-
wouldn't
they
go
don't-
back
they
on
don't-
that.
They don't nest that late.
Well, then why do we have it in the lease?
It was put in there because someone not on the commission asked for that date.
You walked without one, what did they say? You walked without one.
They'd have you not
Well-
cut it till October, but the trouble is, the bobolinks aren't out there. They're almost
I've
done
seen
now.
'em.
I've got them in my field, they're
I
almost
saw
done
them
now.
today.
What's that?
I saw them today.
Have
They're flying all over the place.
They're flying, they're done. They're out.
Juveniles are moving on.
They've fledged.
Those are the fledglings.
Those are the fledglings, they're out.
Juveniles are moving on. I mean, I literally had the same thing on a closed landfill today with our environmental consultant, because we're getting ready to mow. And they told us 2 more weeks. Not
Alright,
yet.
All right.
But we saw the same evidence in Hampton. I can only imagine it's that much more advanced down here. We had the exact same conversation.
So
If
allow
it's only
them,
bobolinks,
allow them to mow in 2 more weeks. In 2 weeks, get them to mow the path.
And it's just the path, it's not.
It's not the whole field, it's just the path.
It's just the path.
7
Yeah, I
feet,
get
it's
it.
up, 7 feet.
And then we'll get a much better feel of the success of this, and then, by the way, they're already 90% towards running on it in September, if they can get success by doing that.
Okay.
Question I have, so one thing that is tied to this, and I know it was approved at the CPC and then at town meeting, the question I have is like the timing for whether or not this has to go out for approval and sit out there for 3 weeks and then land a contractor and so forth. I'm hoping we can shorten that timeline so that we can maybe have it a reality for the September. Is that, I just didn't know how much more, if we waited 2 weeks and then we have to then go out.
I think what he's the same end result. What they're saying is this test.
Your suggestion is the best, to see what we got.
I'm saying,
If
put the mower on it
If
tomorrow.
Al's confident it works, we'll see that as soon as they're done. And you may be done.
Same day, you're gonna find out the same day.
And you might be done.
How quick can we get them all?
They're gonna find somebody
Well,
with a mower.
we want to wait 2
Well,
weeks to
you
do
must
it,
know who
right?
has one.
They can give them some guidance.
It would have to be an RFP or something.
I thought RFP, as long as it's under 25,000.
Oh, yeah, this wouldn't need RFP.
So you just have to find someone with a mower that
Yeah.
will get on there.
He's already going.
You got someone with a rotary shredder?
We do.
Okay, perfect.
7 foot width? Are
I
we
don't
just, are we
know.
talking about the same thing?
I'm not exactly sure, but we've been working closely with ARCO, they've been really helpful with, I think they've got a lot of equipment, I'm sure they would have
Really,
that.
if they don't do it in one fell swoop, even a couple passes, as long as you get it to the width that you want for running.
So if you tell Tom that the approved machine is a 7-foot wide rotary cutter, rotary shredder.
Okay.
That's the approved machine for the first path to see.
Okay.
It'll cut and it'll tell us what we have there. And if you got little things, it'll knock them down.
All right.
That's the best way to start.
So if this preparation is, that they do this thing and it works, what can we do to get the trail expedited? Can we do
We may not have to do
an
anything. You might have-
enforcement order
Oh, you mean to let them cut?
to let them make this a legitimate cross-country trail for whatever?
Well, if
I don't think we need to do anything.
I think if what I'm thinking, if what I have in my mind works, they're not gonna have to do anything.
Okay.
I mean, under a CR,
If it works, if it gives you the.
walking trails are allowed.
Yep.
The fact that we're using it to run on is academic.
Right.
We're creating a
Right.
trail net within our own
Right.
network.
It's just
We don't
wetland-
need to do anything.
it's just a-
If
it's a
this
wet-
process works, we're done.
It's a wetland jurisdiction question, that's all, for the new trails in the fields.
We do open field.
Period.
We do open field wetland mowing all over town.
Okay.
And we have that one time a year cutting that we allow. This would fall right into that category, under recreation.
All right.
But I mean, I'm just saying,
So everything we just said, does that affect the Usula property at all? And can we still use the same approach there?
I don't understand the question.
If we're gonna mow this network here, are we able to do the same thing there without any wetland issues?
Yes.
Yeah, so long, because it's more than 50 feet away.
50 feet
More
away.
than 50 feet.
And we're
away
just
from the
mowing.
wetland.
Right.
now the red area of the trail that goes through the hayfield, does that have to be cut, or when the hay comes off it, is that sufficient? Because when he takes the hay off it, there's a very clearly beaten trail there on the half-mile hill.
We're all set.
Yeah, that part there doesn't need anything, right?
No,
Once he cuts that hay and gets it out of there?
Yeah, the only thing that would change just for the fall, for the 2 meets that we host, is that lower part of the figure 8, we'd have to actually kind of stake it so we could have some delineation where we put flags up race day where they would run. And then that would be removed after the race.
Yeah, just don't leave them there.
Well, people still a non-spectated sport.
You're right.
Yeah, everybody's at the starting line and finish line,
And
nobody
it's-
along the course.
And I think if you get the right machine that I'm talking about, and if Tom wants to call me, I can send him a picture of one.
Awesome.
And I think it'll do it. I'd be very surprised if it doesn't do the job for you.
Thank you. How soon can we do this?
Tomorrow.
How about tomorrow morning?
It's gonna be raining tomorrow. I'd wait till Friday.
Okay.
Or next week would be even better.
Well,
Bobollinks,
Let's just make
2
sure.
weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks. Wait, the bobollinks. Oh, actually, no, we're gonna only do just the trail.
Just the trail.
We're good. They can start when the one,
Okay,
But-
all
but
right.
the
this
ground's solid.
Just to make sure we're doing this right, it is a new trail, and we're going to be within 100 feet of
A wetland.
a wetland, a stream that runs down the middle of that Usler property.
So whoever's driving the tractor's gonna have to be following somebody or something
Yeah.
to know where to cut.
Probably Amy.
Right, but it's still within 100 feet, so they presumably need
It's
something
an
from
NOI.
us.
It's an NOI. So I see what you're saying. But it's part of this test. We're just mowing. We're not grading anything on the
Right,
Usula.
I was gonna say.
As long as we're just mowing, that's still permitted within
Just
100.
mowing, it's just.
Permitted within 25,
Yeah.
right?
So,
So long as we're not grading anything, you can do it.
So just so I have it straight, no additional permits required
For mowing?
So long as
from
we're not,
us.
so long as we're not grading.
If the scope of work right now is mowing,
Yep,
then my opinion would be no.
Yeah.
okay,
yeah.
Even
good,
if you
mine
grade
is
And so
too,
mo- and
mine is
so-
too, I just want to
okay.
make sure.
Yeah,
Because
but
you-
mowing is
I know.
to understand the ground surface,
Correct.
right?
Right?
The machine that I'm
And
talking
I
about
think it's
will-
uneven. They're gonna have to do something to that
The
ground surface.
machine will do
to-
that. The machine will do that. You ever see the blades under these
All
things?
right.
They're like an upside down helicopter.
Okay,
It's gonna clean everything right up.
all right, whatever. All right,
If
so we'll
the-
use that rotary thing that you talked about,
Rotary shredder.
rotary shredder,
7 feet.
7
But
feet.
you guys have to map, we have to
It will be
get a
outside
path,
of the 50,
a clear path for this mower.
Well, they did this, they did this just.
and that's gonna reveal whether that's good enough.
Yeah.
It should.
Is that what we're saying?
That's what we're hoping.
To prepare,
Well, it's gonna
That
reveal,
surface for
it's gonna
runners.
reveal more than we have now. The hope is, it's good enough and that's it.
yes.
The reality is, we'll at least see more, that if there is something a little more invasive that needs to be done,
Okay.
we'll know where that is.
If you
It's
come- if you
It's
come-
isolated.
Okay.
If you got granite outcrops or boulders
Yeah,
or
okay,
big giant stones, that's a problem.
all right.
We
So
sure
the-
know them
the-
anyway.
That's a problem.
So the
That's a real
rotary
problem if you're the guy
shredder-
driving the tractor.
Can happen when? Rotary shredder can happen when?
Friday.
When the ground conditions are dry enough to not create rutting.
I mean, right
Simple as
now,
that.
you can
Whenever
use
they
it.
want to do it.
Amy, you could use it right now.
Yeah,
Okay,
they're
all right,
saying
all right.
we're not gonna get any much rain tomorrow.
It's
anyway.
scattered showers, they downgraded it
Yeah.
completely.
So, I mean, you could go there really, probably as early as tomorrow.
Did it just change again?
Let's see.
Okay,
Let's see.
It's,
all right.
as soon as we get
So
stuff done.
I'm
as soon as
here
we-
tomorrow and Friday, and then I'm on vacation next week, so.
Not gonna rain.
Yeah.
But,
I'll make a call
you know,
tonight.
I can,
Yesterday's
Taylor
forecast
could
said
go
it
out
would,
with you next
but-
week
I
if,
got no rain.
if worse comes
West
to
of
worse.
us.
I got no rain.
Yeah, it doesn't come to a screeching halt.
Thank you.
You
No.
know, yeah.
No, our intention is for you to get your course
Thank you.
for time. So we'll be as accommodating as we can.
I appreciate that. I appreciate your time tonight, guys. Thank you.
Thanks
so
for
much.
coming in.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
All right. Good luck on your hip, Terry.
Yeah.
I'm sure you are. Yeah, I hear you. And
That's what they say, right? It's better, the surgery's better than the.
I have a lot of friends that had it done, and it's amazing. Okay,
Oh, we didn't get to Beechwood Drive modification.
did I miss that?
What do we get else?
Well, no,
we
no one
tabled
was
it.
here.
Oh, so we gotta,
Move to continue.
move to continue.
I just made, hold on, which one are we talking about?
Beechwood modification.
Okay, I'm sorry, I thought we were on half mile. Sorry.
Continue to 7:13, requiring someone to show up. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes. I mean, you're asking for something, least you could do is show up.
True. All right, so decisions.
Decisions.
1761 Salem. 57 Hewitt Ave. Lorraine Avenue and 393 Salem. Right? Is that right? All right, Hewitt. Lorraine, and- All right, so what do you want to start on?
Which one you want to do? Which one you want to do, 1762 Salem?
No, it's,
Says it's
that's
on
a
the
typo.
agenda?
It's 1761. Thank you.
This one says 1762.
I know, that's a typo.
Can I ask a
It's
question?
1761.
What did we do on,
We table that, continue. to
your
next
table,
meeting.
Beechwood? Okay, all right, thank you. I had it in my table pile.
There you go.
If I step out for a few minutes to go to the bathroom?
Sure.
We able to still the quorum?
You can step out.
Yep.
We do.
All right, which one are we starting on, you guys?
I got Salem Street in my hand.
1844?
This was 242, 1843.
43.
Yeah.
Hold on.
1761, but it says two. That's a
This is
typo.
for a,
I got it, I got 43. I got it.
1840.
I got it, Mr. Chairman.
the first one that was on my file.
All right, we got some reading to do. I don't know.
I think $2,000 is enough for the bond. Do you think $2,000 is enough for the bond?
What's the scope of work?
It It's septic system and a driveway to cross Boston Brook.
Probably 3,000.
Did you go to the game Thursday night?
I mean,
Last week? Did you go to the game?
I went to game 4.
Game four,
Yeah,
so
I went to game 4.
This, permanent marking,
I got not answer me.
Hmm?
I got
permanent
George to
marking
answer
of
me.
the boundary line, that she's got across
No.
the line.
Half Mile Hill.
Oh.
He's-
Have we ever done that?
Which one?
42. Permanent marking of the boundary line. You remember the butter said he was dumping stuff and the guy?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, he's,
Do we allow that?
we asked for that, and they said they would do it.
They did it, but not permanent.
Not permanent, just enough to figure out where
No, I,
the
I,
dump
I
pile.
think they should mark it properly. They agreed to it.
Steve Nugent.
They did agree.
Okay.
Steve Nugent might be athletic director.
Do we have a medallion? We don't have a medallion.
No, not really.
Maybe building
Monument.
But your owl kids look at.
Yeah, I agree with your statement, though, in terms of,
Only what follows the
Yeah,
fire
non-wetland
yeah,
issue.
we can't require it outside the buffer.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
And Amy, we thought about, increasing the bond to 3,000.
Okay,
38.
38,
It's,
okay, 3,000?
yeah.
is this the project that had the stones on the driveway and now
Yeah.
doesn't?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry, were you on Lorraine or?
No,
No.
I'm sorry,
On Salem Street.
1762 sale.
We shifted, okay.
It was on top of my pile, I didn't even look at the agenda.
So did they give you a floodplain elevation and NGBD?
that's on the plan.
Okay. They should really be doing it in NAVD 88, because that's what FEMA uses.
Okay,
So
but you gotta do the
they're like a
calculation.
foot or two off sometimes,
Yeah.
so, which makes a big difference when you're filling.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Luckily, they're not in
Right.
this project, but.
Two, couple stages.
yeah, they should,
On,
like
1843.
everybody should, and the
1843.
surveyor engineer should know that,
241,
honestly,
843.
yeah, but just something to,
Okay.
There we go.
I mean, it's
That's
fine, because it's not like
It's
inaccurate.
gonna make sense now.
Yeah,
You know what
but
I mean?
it's just that.
Exactly, yeah.
Careful of what
If
you
you look at a FEMA map, it's not gonna.
It's gonna,
I
right,
got it.
exactly.
So, just to, Amy asked for a clarification on 42 in green about requiring permanent marking of the boundary line. We can only do that within the 100-foot buffer zone, I think.
It came out during the public hearing, and the applicant agreed to do it, so I think it's fair game.
For us to
In our
require it.
jurisdiction.
Because what had happened, because of a lack of understanding where the boundary was, it provided an opportunity for the owner to legally dispose stuff on the abutter's property and, in essence, create a violation of the wetlands off property. So I think putting it online, and it was agreed to and debated during the project. I think it's fair game.
So the entire line.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I think that's a civil issue if it's outside of the 100-foot buffer zone. Like, we don't have any jurisdiction outside of the buffer zone.
Yeah, we don't require things on a project, I mean, it was.
If they didn't agree to it, and we didn't discuss it, if we didn't debate it at all, and come out of left field, I think we're in trouble.
Yeah,
But the fact that they agreed to it,
but I mean, they could.
we
agree
could say that we could say that the applicant has agreed to,
I don't like it.
not at all,
Nope.
Well.
then we shouldn't have
if-
wasted
if-
so much
no,
time
no,
talking
no.
about it.
No, no,
Well, I was
no.
gonna say something.
Well, if you
no,
look,
the abutter
look
was
at the
here.
plan and see
Yeah,
how
that's why we
much
did
of
it.
that
Twice.
property line is in our jurisdiction, which is a lot.
If
I would
they,
say it's over,
It's only a
it's
third of the way
over
up the
half.
line.
yeah.
Oh, a third of the way up the line, but it's also
Yeah.
a third of the way back, the other side, right?
Got it up.
This-
I've got it up on the.
I do have these.
The vertical
Oh, you got
line.
it up
It
there?
was just in the area where the violation was.
So,
Is this the 100 this way, and this is the 100 that way? What are we looking at here?
It's a 50 and then 100, and then the dashed line is, below that is the river line.
So that's the 100? I think so.
50, 100, riverfront.
Hmm.
So.
The only thing out of jurisdiction is from there to there.
Yeah, so I guess it
all
wouldn't
this-
matter, yeah.
All of this is in our jurisdiction, that whole thing.
Okay.
It
Okay.
stops there, and then this part is not. But this is the biggest, like, dumping area that was over the property line.
Yeah, and that wasn't even his property.
I like the way it's
That
written,
wasn't
that
his
of a
property. So
So it's that,
and he
I mean,
agreed,
it's
he
a
agreed to
good
put
part
the,
of the boundary.
he agreed to put the boundaries. It's in the
All
public hearing, you check the TV. So I think.
Yeah, but it wasn't specifically stated, right?
Yeah,
Like,
it was.
Well, I don't.
Well, it wasn't stated, like, I'm not entirely
Only
sure
in the
they
ref-
understood that.
Oh, he understood very well.
Okay.
Because that's made the butter happy, and that's why he came to 2 meetings, didn't come to the third.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that they're gonna say anything or do anything about it, but just, for the record, I really caution about requiring stuff outside of our jurisdiction.
So you guys want the whole line? Is that your consensus?
I mean, if we go as far as where he went over the line,
Do you have the minutes? We actually talked about the frequency, how close we want of those markers.
No, not for the, no, not,
The boundary?
only for the wetland markers, not
So what
the
are we looking at,
boundary
2
line.
extra
So
markers?
just go to the extent of our jurisdiction.
I think that's a safe bet.
Just play it
Okay.
safe.
Yeah,
And if
which
he
is
wants to
right
put more up, he can.
Here,
Yeah.
and then that way.
Because so if he goes over the property line outside of our jurisdiction, and they're
That's a
filling over there,
civil-
that's a civil issue. It's not in our jurisdiction.
Yeah, it's not our issue anyway.
Right.
Okay,
So just carry it out to the
to
extent.
the extent
the
of our
riverfront.
jurisdiction.
That's all.
Okay,
Safe. They're gonna find something to fight over anyways.
Right.
That's all I see.
Condition 60, that's already been accomplished. Right, didn't he already remove those piles?
they still have some more to go on the south.
All right, leave it in there anyway, but.
That big, this big pile, this big ring, still has some trash and stuff. He's been picking at it, it's not done,
Shouldn't that be a pre-construction?
isn't it?
That's it, the 60 is during construction.
Oh.
Any violation should
Actually, I
be,
agree.
That's a good catch, Jack.
Oh, no,
that's-
okay, you're right.
That should be a pre-construction.
yeah, any
Okay.
violation should be taken care of before they
If
start.
if that's not done, construction doesn't start.
Right.
Yep,
It's the only way we can get them to do it,
I thought it was already done.
because we can't force them to come in for a certificate of compliance.
Right.
But we can force them to fix it
To
before they
fix it.
start.
yep.
Any more questions?
Fixating on 65, because that's typical for someone who's doing work on their property for that one isolated time. But doesn't this guy own equipment? Wasn't that part of the issue? He was like, does he have
Yeah.
construction equipment
Yeah.
that he fuels in his yard?
Yeah,
So is that a perpetual condition and not,
So they'd have to refuel, basically. They'd have to drive to the backyard and
I know, right?
refuel.
Okay, I didn't think that through very much.
That comes under not our problem.
Good
it's,
point.
it's every bit as enforceable as fertilizer.
It's not our problem.
Yeah, right.
Sometimes I need to be reminded.
And
of that.
anti-icing chemicals.
Okay,
We're gonna lose our secretary in about 7 or 8 minutes, so we
Yeah,
really
so
got.
let's speed up. Any other,
None.
more questions? How about a motion?
So moved, as amended.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, next unanimous.
What do you got next, Lou?
Let me look at the guy.
Got a pile of them, that's what we have.
How about Hewitt Street?
57 Hewitt?
Yeah. In my hand, that's why.
2421846.
plunge pool.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you don't have any pre-construction requirement on here, we're just about seeing it under prior to construction?
I have,
Yeah.
for dewatering, I have at 46.
Did you just print this?
I know.
That wasn't even shown on the plans that we asked for it.
I know.
It's already in there, good
You're
job.
right.
Well, I just knew, I'm like, oh, it's an in-ground pool, I bet you they're gonna need to.
It's just the area, perfect.
Do you guys know what the plunge pool is? I don't even know.
That's
It's
what I
just a
asked.
shallow, it's
It's
a
shallow.
5-foot water, it's not like a deep end.
Is it just for swimming, basically?
Yeah, just-
So
Yeah,
you-
I guess lap.
Yeah, so you plunge instead of
So a
diving.
real plunge pool is the scoured out area below a waterfall.
Right,
That's what a
right.
plunge pool is.
Yeah.
It's like, it's where eddies form and you kayak
Yeah.
around, they have lots of fun, but I don't know what it is in your backyard.
That's what I asked.
A little less than a
You know, you learn
full-blown.
something every day.
Oh,
2,000.
so you want us to add, a continuing condition about, discharging the pool if they have to
I thought we already had that in here.
We've got the filter. the
filter, but
Charge
we need,
yourself.
okay,
Yeah,
I'll add
48.
that.
I was in Wilmington, one person just literally pumped water out of their pool down the road into a catch basin and went right into the wetland. By the time I got there, it was too late. They had emptied it.
Draw down. Outside.
Is 2,000 enough?
What's the scope of work?
Flat as can be.
Flat as can be.
Stockpile and dewatering in the front yard.
What?
Patio, pool, and there's a three-season porch?
No, it's demolished.
Is there already
existing-
is there a physical barrier between?
Yeah.
There is already.
It's a stone wall. It's pretty flat.
So since there's already a physical barrier and all that, I think we're fine with the bond.
Yeah. Demolishing existing one-car garage, side deck and stairs, and construct a new larger garage with a three-season porch on back of that. And then the pool and the patio.
Feels like more than 2,000.
Huh?
Feels like more than 2,000.
I think so too, but we're talking, yeah. I think it should be 3, but
3,000?
I think so.
That seems to make more sense.
$2,000, what's 2,000 bucks today?
If you don't have it, it's all not gonna work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you just tell me money generates compliance?
Money
Yeah, I don't
equals
have anything.
compliance. It's a
Yeah.
proven formula.
Okay.
Oh, you only got 1,000, oh, that's right, that's right.
3 minutes, we're gonna lose payment.
I know. Any questions?
Nope.
Motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous.
No, I forgot to say aye.
You got 3 minutes to do 3 decisions.
It's all right.
All right.
I
You
can
got-
still,
you
I
got
can
me.
Which one
take
you want?
notes. All right, you wanna do Lorraine Avenue?
Sure. It's gonna be appealed anyways.
So I would put right in the preamble where you say notice of intent, that third paragraph down.
Yeah.
I would say something to the effect that the notice of intent was received and determined to be complete.
Well, I say it further down.
Do you?
Oh,
the opinion letter.
May 11th,
What page are you on, Amy?
first page.
First page, okay.
May 11th meeting, the abutters attorney provided an opinion letter that since 210 Andover did not sign an order and was not complete, not properly before the commission. After seeking an opinion from town council regarding this issue, the NACC proceeded with its review of the NOI upon town council's recommendation. Is that all right?
Wish Sean was here.
I like it.
It's accurate, but
All right.
No, I like it.
We wordsmith it, I just wanted,
I like it.
I like it.
Did town council provide like a written?
Yes.
Okay.
They did, yeah.
Yep.
Is it worth adding that in here, just like to?
No,
explain
I
it a little
can't
more, or-
disclose it yet.
Okay.
We were told not to.
Oh, right,
Not to,
right.
yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
So long as we say it's from council and it was provided the way it was, it is
Yeah.
attorney-client
I remember
privilege.
that now.
We had one sentence we could say.
We
and
put
that
it
was
in there, it's
Yep.
appealable.
Good
That
point.
was why we followed the script, one sentence.
Right.
Until I went
Can't go-
rogue.
can't go-
Till I went rogue.
You were okay.
So I included that, at May 27th and April 27th and May 11th meetings, the abutter at 210 Andover was present with her attorney and third-party engineer. During discussions, it was disclosed that the abutter and her engineer had been in contact with the applicant and his engineer with regard to the proposed plan. The abutter and her engineer provided input to the design of the stone infiltration trenches to address her concerns over flooding and roadway runoff on her property, and the project engineer had incorporated some of her requests. Is that appropriate? I just want to make sure that,
We did not silence.
we want to make sure she was at the table. And she,
Yes.
That's accurate.
yeah.
That's accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if somebody wants details, they could read the minutes or
Yeah.
watch the video.
Right.
Yep.
So 22, I gave some of your findings.
Amy, your question on number 50, I think is yes, we should require the maintenance, evidence of maintenance of the
Okay,
system. I
Okay.
think we've done that in the past pretty
Yeah.
routinely.
okay.
It's hard to track, but
It is hard to track,
Yeah.
but, okay.
we should require it. 2,500, good? To build a road?
Maybe not, I don't know.
Yeah, I know. We're still trying to feel our way through that.
Any questions?
I'm ready to move it.
Go ahead.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous.
Okay, 393 Salem.
2421844.
This is an addition. And I give $1,000. I don't know, it may not be enough.
That's not.
I know, it's,
We all are, times have changed.
Yeah,
yeah, really.
that doesn't even cover the paperwork. What are we gonna do, two?
What's that?
This is not for the bond.
Bond, I was thinking the same thing, 2,000?
Okay.
It's 98 feet away,
Is that the closest?
94.38 feet.
That's the closest point?
98 and the other side of the house.
2,000 is plenty.
Yeah.
Most of what on both sides.
I think.
No,
It was
it's on the opposite side of the addition.
I think 1,000, I mean, 2,000 is not gonna kill it, but little threat.
Is it 1,000 or 2,000?
Two.
Maybe a minute.
So,
Who says two?
Lou says 2.
Two it is.
Is that the only amendment?
what's
It's the only amendment.
2,000 on the bond is the only amendment.
No waivers, 90 feet,
Yeah,
2001.
added foundation excavation, dewatering means and methods shall be reviewed, and BMP shall be on site during pre-construction.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, no more questions, look for
Do,
motion.
just quick question. Considering how far away the foundation is, do you still want a interim foundation as-built plan?
Why would we waive that?
Why would we
I'm
wait?
just curious, just
We put it in
Yeah.
a boilerplate.
It's easier to leave it there.
Okay,
I move
all right,
that
just
we,
wanted to
I move that we approve the order of conditions for 242-1844 as drafted and amended.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that's unanimous.
all right.
And the last one is,
Tons of-
240 average, 242-1845.
Yeah, we didn't.
No, we didn't close on that.
Oh, we didn't close it, that's
Sorry.
right.
I just had it ready just in
Good
case.
catch.
Good.
On your first point, I don't think we want the blurb in there. 'Cause it would- If the other attorney somehow sees that we treated this one differently.
I see nothing left.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Oh, you made
All those
it.
in favor say aye.
Aye.
Tons more.
Opposed, and that's
Who
unanimous.
if I got them?